piece. There aren't actually that many hard bits on it.
I don't believe you.
It's super gross looking.
Kind of squishy. Well, more like rubbery and bouncy, but like, it actually has some pleasant texture
Quit
to
describing that defiled pizza that you screwed up.
All I did was just leave it in the oven for a little too long, like by 30 minutes, I think.
Can we clap for the audio, Morg, please?
1 sec. Where is it? Why is it not showing up? Are you sure you're live?
Yeah, it's delayed. It's always delayed.
Okay. Yep, let's do it.
All right. 3, 2, 1. Welcome to the Hunter's Hub. This is your host, Fortwine, joined by co-host Morg Daddy. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty well. We had a bit of an incident earlier this week that kind of was a bit upsetting. I don't want to get into too many details, but we kind of got over it. I've got the house to myself right now. So yeah, and I'm also downloading the preload for Monster Hunter Rise?
Oh,
it's gonna be awesome.
The preload's already up?
Yeah, it's already out. I think it was out since yesterday.
That's like almost a week early. 6 days early? Wow. No, a week early as of yesterday. You want to get on?
Nobody can play it right now until it's official, but...
That's not true.
It's good to have it.
They broke Street Date. Super broke it. In France, I think, is what I heard.
Ooh. For shame. Ooh, for shame.
Also, co-host Pan.
Hi. I'm doing good.
Yeah.
I'm not eating sad pizza for dinner, so I'm doing better than most people here, or some people here.
I had popcorn.
Some of them.
Than most people here, or some people here.
God damn it! No.
Okay, somebody turn that off.
No.
Morg.
Chat only. Chat only. Why?
Morg.
I have to be involved. I have to be part of the conversation when people come in.
Are you watching yourself stream while we stream?
No, I just got chat open.
This is why Morg has internet problems.
Yeah.
Okay.
Agreed.
How are you, Ace?
Yes.
Oh, as you heard in the preamble, I've been besieged by Italian food, and now I feel like I'm in my 40s despite being 25. So
you're younger than I am.
For that. I know, but I feel I haven't had any hard drinks in 2 weeks, but I feel like I'm hungover and I don't.
This is college food, man. This is something you have to get used to.
Apparently, a significant amount of butter and cheese is enough to destroy me.
Yes. Ramen noodles with shredded cheese on top.
We went to a
put those pounds on, baby. You look gorgeous.
We went to a hibachi, I think it was Tuesday. And I got sushi thinking that it was just going to be a small amount of sushi. No. So I couldn't finish my hibachi. I had to take home leftovers. I was thinking it'll just be small. No. I was almost full after the sushi. So I felt bad. I barely ate any of the hibachi. All right, so yeah, we're gonna be talking about D&D stories. I did not write mine down. I had intended to, but I have been full single parent mode this weekend. No grandparents to help me out this weekend. They've all left to go retrieve my brother for a week, and then it's gonna be me for 2 weeks because they're going on vacation, and I'm gonna be home alone.
Ooh, nice.
Just,
That's so cool.
It's zero help. Well, they were here this morning, and they took the girls to the hot tub and then left, so the girls were all hyper, and I had to give them baths, and that's how the day started.
Normal dad stuff.
Yeah. So yeah, we're going to be talking about our D&D stories, and in Ace's case, magic stories, because he doesn't play D&D a lot or at all.
I haven't gotten around to it. There was a group at my previous job that wanted to start it, but then a whole bunch of we'll call it corporate exodus ended up happening. So that friend group kind of got fractured and decimated, board wiped, if you will. So
No.
Morg,
Exit.
Yes.
is that Starfire above Sheik behind you?
Yes, it is.
Okay, just making sure.
Starfire. Who's Starfire?
She's from Teen Titans.
Teen Titans!
Ah, okay.
She and Dick Grayson hook up, and they're a long-running couple.
We've got somebody else in the chat. Who is this
Jesus,
beloved
it's-
viewer?
See, the only one I've watched.
Possibly my husband.
The only one
Welcome!
I've watched is the Teen Titans Go, and the Flash episode. I was dying laughing. There was like something about Robin trying to race Flash, and Flash always winning because, duh. And then,
Yeah, that's kind of duh.
but he ends up winning on like the rematch because he essentially breaks his kneecap. It's hilarious.
Wait, he breaks the Flash's kneecap?
The Kid Flash, yeah. Oh man, it's so funny. He trips him essentially.
He could still hop faster than Robin could run.
Not with a broken leg.
Oh, he totally could. Totally could. Doesn't
Yeah,
he have like fast
kid.
regenerating healing powers and stuff like
But-
that? Like he could just like speed up
This
his.
isn't Wally West or Barry Allen. I believe it. I forget which one Kid Flash is, but it's not Wally West or Barry Allen.
Oh, so heavily nerfed Flash.
Yeah, he's a kid. He's literally a
Also,
kid.
like 12 years old.
Yeah. So like if you're
Okay.
a kid and you break your leg, I think you're going to be more focused on your leg than winning a race, regardless of superpowers or not. So yeah, like I said, we're going to get into some D&D stories.
Oh, it is Wally West.
Oh,
Yay, we got an angry monk in here, and we got Polka-John! Woo, hi!
nice.
And the Cloud! Awesome! Let me see. Right?
I
Okay,
have
so
not-
there's myself, Cloud, Angry Monk, Polka-John, Hubby. That's our 5. Perfect.
Yeah, it's like the most I've ever had.
Nice. Wait, that's not true. Oh, wait. For podcasting? Yes. But I mean, like, this is only our second episode where we've actually done, like, the streaming and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
Okay, then it's fine. It's fine. Totally fine.
All right. Well, again, we're going to get into D&D stuff. We're going to hold off on Monster Hunter Rise stuff, even though I did beat Magnamalo. All 3 of us did. I say all 3 of us because I know
Finally.
Pan hasn't really attempted. Am I correct? Pan is frozen on my screen.
Oh, no, yeah. She's
Oh, yeah, she
absolutely
is.
petrified. Pan!
Oh no. we
Are you
lost
okay?
Pan.
I think she's traumatized by Magnamalo. I wouldn't blame her. That 15-minute, like, it's traumatic, man. It's traumatic. 15 minutes? It's a little bull.
Boy, we are professional.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay.
Hey, about as professional as we want or need to be.
Fortuan, you haven't told me how you beaten Magnamalo.
You didn't see it in the general? Or Twitter?
No.
Or...
No!
Yeah, GOG, Ace,
What's up
and
with
I
that?
did it.
Nice! 3-manning it! Cool!
I can't help it if you don't check our own Discord and the Twitter.
Probably another reason why I'm gonna get banned again!
No.
As always.
No. Uh-oh, we did lose Pan. She'll be back.
Bye, Pan.
I hope.
She'll always be back. Don't worry, guys. Day 1 patches are gonna be funny. Oh my god.
Right.
Yeah, I'm
I
actually-
can't, I can't
I'm
check
actually
the
curious
Discord
what they're
while
gonna do.
we're doing this because it would pop up on the recording. So does anyone see what happened to Pan? I heard a message pop up.
Maybe the Nintendo Assassin's
Sure.
got her? Does she have any emulators? Day 1
don't
patches are going to be funny. Something was in the
see
leaks that
anything.
wasn't in the final. No. Scandalous. Monk.
I don't know about the leaks.
We'll have to save that for later because we don't want to spoil anything. Unless it's
Yeah, I
relevant
don't
news.
currently see anything in the Discord for it.
Okay.
Oh no.
Right.
Well, it is
Well,
what it
we'll
is.
talk a little bit more about Magnamala while we're waiting for her to come back, because she's the star of tonight's show with the D&D stories. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Yes, she is.
So, yeah, Magnamala was infuriating. It gave me a headache Monday, so much so that I had to go to bed.
Oh man.
But I did beat it. I also finished God of War this week.
What'd you think?
I liked it. It was a really weird ending, though. Like,
You mean the part where Baldur tries to kill his mom, but then you end up killing
that's not
Baldur,
the
and then
end.
the mom's resentful of that?
that's not the end.
Oh, the Thor
That's-
flashback?
The end is literally just them just sprinkling the dust. Just
Oh, of his mom? Yeah.
That was their goal.
That's the whole reason why they were going there, yeah.
I understand that, but from a video game standpoint, it was like, oh, I expected another final boss. Like, oh, okay, cool. I wasn't against it. It was actually kind of cool, but like, we did not return to Kratos' house yet, Cloud.
You have to do that. That's important. It's something happens in there, you know. It's really important that you do it.
I will. I have not put down the game yet. I also only have two more Valkyries. So.
Oh my god.
I'm going to do.
Good luck beating the last one.
I've actually had not too many problems with the Valkyries at this point. Now I did look at a guide for a few because it's like you're fighting it and you're like, okay, I have no clue what to do. So I looked at a guide for a few of them. But once I figured it out, it was more just an execution thing, which I got in one or two tries after. Yeah, I'm hearing a lot of chatter on the Discord. Is
Steve is currently messaging.
yeah.
I don't have anything in messages though. In DMs.
Yeah, Pokejohn, I'm actually really appreciative of the fact that you were able to help us beat Magnamala. You did a good job, man. And the best way possible for me. 3 seconds left on the clock, and 2 carts used up. That's a great way to do it.
We had no.
You got to keep it on the wire.
We had no carts in 16 seconds.
Oh, Steve says to let him in.
Let him in.
Mm.
Oh, okay. Ooh. All right.
What does that mean?
They might have had to switch over to his computer, I'm guessing, maybe. There might have been a crash. That's what I'm thinking now.
Probably, yeah. Maybe your computer crashed.
Okay. Well, you're going to see some things behind the scenes.
Things
Oops.
behind the scenes. It almost rhymes. You ever thought of becoming the next Dr. Seuss? I mean,
Okay.
you know, you'd
Should
actually
be.
like kids, so I mean, you know, you'd probably do a better job.
Should be good.
You could be, oh no, Roald Dahl. Yeah, Roald Dahl. Now, that guy, he did a great job with stories.
Let me see. At PodChat, at Steve. You can join now. Cool.
Yeah, we do need a little Discord magic.
I need to have someone else be a moderator too, other than just myself.
Well, you know, I'd be terrible for the job because I'm almost never here.
Wait,
But I do my best.
I should be able to join. Yeah, put him as a. There we go. Excuse the technical difficulties.
She is back and better than ever. I think. Maybe. Pan, how are you doing?
Cat.
Oh, wait. She probably has to get the camera going. Yep, there we go. We got some signal. Yay!
Hey, Pan.
Technical difficulties?
Didn't hear what you were saying. Nothing.
Oh no.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes,
There we
yes,
go.
we can hear you.
Okay, so apparently my computer overheated while running Audacity and Discord at the same time.
Oh wow.
Yeesh.
So now I'm on my
That's-
husband's computer. It took me a few minutes to get things set up and to remember my password.
Ooh,
Oh
Yeah.
my God, no!
I'm sorry.
How does it overheat running only 2 programs?
It's 7 years old and still runs Windows 7.
Fair.
I mean, my machine runs Windows 7 as
Fair.
well, but I mean, it's able to run. Oh God,
Now
no!
we
We're
lost
losing them
these.
all. No.
We're good.
We're good.
Okay,
It's all right.
so I
I hope
basically
so.
my audio from the first couple minutes of the stream or whatever is going to be gone.
Okay.
But I have Audacity running on my husband's computer now, so you can clap me
My
in whenever,
fucking
whatever you want to
ass
do.
off. There we go.
Yeah, let's just me and you do a clap just to sync audio. Okay, so 3, 2, 1. Cool. We're good. All right.
All right.
So, back to the topic at hand. I don't know if you heard Pan real quick. But just before we lost you, the 3 of us had beaten Magdamalo on the demo. I'm pretty sure you hadn't. Have you actually fought him yet on the demo or no? Okay. It was tough, super tough. I also defeated God of War. Finished that game. Last night I beat it, but I still want to do a little bit more before I switch over. But I may be able to hit my goal of finishing both Spider-Mans and God of War before Rise comes out. So if I can finish Spider-Man
Holy
in 5 days,
crap! Dude, you're just blasting through games. I haven't even touched, like, Sinking City or anything like that.
it didn't help. Well, no, it helped that we didn't have a lot of customers this week, so I had a lot of extra time. So, anyways, we're going to be doing D&D stories. And Pan, I'm going to have you lead us off with yours, because you obviously have the best, and will always have the best stories. So, why don't you lay it on us? Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Okay.
There's the audio. Okay. Did you just
Okay.
mute yourself by accident?
No. So again, I'm on my husband's computer now, and his push-to-talk button is different, and I pushed my push-to-talk button.
Oh.
Oh.
So there we go. Okay. So, all right. So I posted a list over in the planning channel. Let's tab over there.
I'm going to go off of memory for mine.
Okay. Here we go. All right.
Same with me.
So the first one is what I call the egg incident.
Mm-hmm.
And it comes
Oh,
from
man.
several years ago.
Hunter's Hub, the home of
Okay.
technical difficulties. Facts, bro.
All right, so several years ago, back when I first started DMing D&D, it was like right after 5e came out. My husband and I, we went to Gen Con on our honeymoon, and that was the Gen Con where D&D 5e debuted. So we kind of got nostalgic for the days of yore when we were in college, and we played D&D with our friends over summer breaks. So we're like, hey, you know what? Let's get the gang back together and play some D&D. So we bought the core books, and we started a game. And 2 sessions in, we had this incident. One of the players, his character was a lawful good paladin of the dragon god of justice, and he came.
Of course.
And which it fits very well in my setting. The Dragon God of Justice is like he's part of he's the major god of my setting, so it worked great.
Kind of like
and
Bahamut.
that is exactly who it is. It's Bahamut. I'm being non-technical for the non-nerds in the
Which
listening
is the
party.
current ecology I should be writing, is Bahamut.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So then we also had another player who was a. What was that? I don't know what that sound was, but we had another
That was
player.
me just sliding some tonic to slip into my gin, so that way I have something to enjoy.
We had another player who was a cleric of Bahamut, and there were a few other players. We had a group of 6 people to begin with. But the 3 important players are Paladin of Bahamut, Cleric of Bahamut, and a sorcerer, a dragonborn, dragonblood sorcerer who comes from the... he was related to the Imperial family who claim divine descent from Bahamut. So...
Mm.
Yeah. So the paladin,
family
as part of
affair.
his so as part of his tragic backstory, the paladin's hometown was destroyed by an evil blue dragon, and that was basically the first session. Was like the evil blue dragon comes to town and wrecks shit and destroys a town. We were doing the Rise of Tiamat for those who know the plot of Rise of Tiamat. So his wife and child were killed, and so therefore he swears an oath of vengeance against Tiamat and her cultists and all that jazz. So, second session, they have been tasked with recovering these dragon eggs that the cult of Tiamat is going to use for some evil ritual.
Mm-hmm.
And they've been told to bring the eggs back, and they'll get a substantial reward for bringing the eggs back. So they get there, and they get to they fight a bunch of kobolds, whatever. They get to the eggs, and there's 3 of them. If I recall correctly, there was a green egg, a white egg, and a black egg, and I rolled for this. Just randomly determine what colors they are. And,
all chromatic. That's terrible.
Yeah, so dear listeners, chromatic dragons are generally regarded as evil. In classic D&D lore, they are objectively evil, and they all basically follow the different sort of traditional vices of dragons, whereas metallic dragons are the good dragons who follow the sort of ideals of dragons.
Mm-hmm.
So they get there and they see those eggs, and the paladin wigs out. Because these are baby chromatic dragons as far as he's concerned, and he takes his hammer and he smashes the blue egg. The cleric of Bahamut and the sorcerer get very upset because the cleric, as he is a cleric of Bahamut, he feels that the dragon god of justice would not see it just that these innocent eggs were being destroyed for crimes that they had yet not committed.
But they'd commit them anyways.
Probably.
Like as soon as they would hatch.
Possibly, probably, but
nature versus nurture, Morg.
Yes.
Have you guys never watched Minority Report?
Oh, I've seen it. Now, hang on. So the
get what I mean.
Yes. The sorcerer, he is disturbed at this because I said he is dragonborn, and he's a dragon blood sorcerer dragonborn. So dragonborn hatch from eggs. They look like human. They look like a dragon, but a human, basically. Mm-hmm. So he is disturbed because, all of his friends basically hatch from eggs, and that was a pretty disturbing thing to witness. So he's not going to let the paladin smash the other 2 eggs. And this sort of tension between those 3. By the way, there's 2 other people who didn't take a stance.
Okay.
Yeah, so they just kind of stayed out of it. And in my very second session DMing, basically this devolves into like an actual out-of-game argument between the 3 of them over whether or not abortion is moral or not moral.
Oh, no.
And they wanted to know the Church of Bahamut's official stance on abortion.
Egg-bortion.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Well...
Yeah.
So every day that I go to the supermarket and I just go and pick up eggs, am I like...
Are they fertilized eggs?
No, not typically.
Some of them actually are,
Well...
Sometimes you can get a baby chick and an egg. It has happened.
Oh, yeah, I know. Yeah,
sometimes
yeah,
there's like a little embryo.
So, this happens, and like the 3 of them actually get pissed at like the sorcerer guy and the cleric guy get super pissed at the paladin guy, like out of game, and it gets gross and nasty. And but eventually it ends with, all right, Chelsea, what is the Church of Bahamut's stance on abortion? And I'm like, I'm just here to roll some dice, guys. I was not prepared for these questions.
You do this. Like, let's take a break. Let's just cool
You
off.
have to know the politics of your world.
This is 2 sessions in.
Oh man, that's
now,
brutal.
You guys were all friends already, though, right?
Oh yeah. And here's the other thing. Like everybody at this table, they're actually all members of the same fraternity from college. Except me, obviously.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, but yeah, there was my husband. There was one of his big brother in the fraternity. His best friend from high school, who also joined that fraternity. Like they joined the fraternity together.
Okay.
An older sort of senior member of their fraternity, and who else was it? There's a fifth guy there who didn't. Oh yeah, and this like younger guy in the fraternity who like moved away like a month later, so he wasn't there for very many sessions. Yeah, and yeah, it was intense and rough, and we kind of ended at a stalemate. And eventually, next session, the cleric. So because clerics are overpowered at low level, the cleric kicked the ever living shit out of the paladin. And that settled that.
And this is why everybody should just metagame and just play as clerics just from now on, like, because they're so freaking broken.
Early game, yeah, they are super broken. So I typically get a cleric every game, or at least someone who's partial cleric.
Gotcha.
Somebody in our group actually got addicted. Oh, sorry. Yeah, you go ahead.
I see a lot of bards, I see a lot of barbarians, and I see a lot of sorcerers. Those are the main three, and warlocks. Those are what I saw a lot in my days of DMing. My days of DMing has been a little mixed, though, especially lately since I've moved back to my hometown, because it's all been my brother's friends who are all, how do I put it? Bad players.
Oh, in what way are they bad players? Like, do they just not understand the rules of combat, or like they just play out of turn?
Everything from metagaming to not understanding the rules, then to try to use the rules against you as a DM, rules lawyering you when not understanding the rules still. It is a nightmare. So I stopped DMing for them, period, last year.
Yeah.
Actually, before
that's
COVID,
unfortunate.
Before COVID, so it'd be November before. So it'd be November 2019 that I stopped.
Before
Holy crap!
Yeah. And the only game I've been running is the one that we discontinued for the podcast. And currently I'm in no games. So there we go.
Apparently my husband is dusting my computer out now for me.
Oh, that's nice of him.
So if you hear canned air going, that's what's happening.
Gotcha. So the egg incident. Is there more to add to that, or?
Not really. By the way, the Church of Bahamut's official stance is that the head of the household has absolute right to the lives of those within their household.
Ooh, that's a nice neutral position. I like it.
It is, and I sort of
giving them the choice.
Well,
kind
the Dragonborn society in my setting is very heavily based off of the Roman Empire, so I kind of I dove deep into sort of traditional Roman law, and the head of the household had absolute authority over people in his house. So if basically a member of the family committed a crime against the family or an act against his family, he could have them executed and nobody would say anything. It was rarely done, extremely rare, for something as serious as that. But the head of the household could have you flogged or whatever if you were part of his household. So the Church of Bahamut's official stance is that the head of the household has absolute right to the lives of those within his house, or her, because Dragonborn are matriarchal in my setting. Because female dragons are bigger.
Okay, so it's almost Roman, but more Celtic.
Well, yes, like I said, female dragons are bigger because virtually every bird of prey, the female is 30% bigger than the male.
Yeah.
So that's why the females are the soldiers. So yeah.
There you go.
I like the direction of that campaign, actually.
It's still going.
Yeah, that is. There is a few episodes of it up on our SoundCloud.
There are a few episodes. The people in let's see, a few of them. One of the major characters in that campaign is, I believe. Let me think here. I need to think about this. He is the grandson of the sorcerer in this story.
Nice. I love it. I love the family stuff that you have in your campaign. It's pretty good. All right, Morg. What are you doing? Okay, bye.
We lost Morg. Ace, you're up.
Yeah, Ace.
Okay. So one of my favorite moments from Magic the Gathering was the time that I was playing Arch Enemy with some of my friends from Scouts when I was still in Scouts.
Arch Enemy is an
And we
old
did it-
format.
Yeah, and we did it before they even came out with like the pack that you can buy in stores. So our friend Paul had actually gotten, the Arch Enemy deck and had his own Nicol Bolas deck made up.
God,
Oh.
We just we just sort of used decks that we had. So he was nice and allowed us, because he knew his was far scaled up past what like we would have, because he's
Right.
insane and makes like $1,400 commander decks.
So was it like
Casual.
a Grixis deck?
Oh, dude, do you ever want to talk about expensive
I don't
commander decks?
remember
Ask
exactly.
My brother. My brother.
Like 3 colors, like red, black, and blue?
I know it was 3 because he had the Nicol Bolas commander. That
It was probably
requires
red,
3
black,
different
and blue.
colors.
Ooh,
So, anyways,
Yeah, I don't know.
very
We were,
aggressive,
like-
dominating deck.
I would say a third or half of the way into the game, and I think it was Nate. He decided to attack, and Paul went to put down like some kind of deflection spell or something like that to kill him. And so, because I was running 2 decks that had blue in it, I had a counter waiting in the wings. So I played a counter, and because the deck he was using had blue in it, Paul tried to cast a counter so that his damage would go through. But then because I had another counter with the other blue deck, I put down a counter. And then he had one more counter to try and counter chain this. But I also had one more waiting in the wings. So I was able to counter him
So the
3 separate times.
oh my
And
god,
he got so pissed.
Blue deck's gonna blue deck.
yeah. I was gonna
Yeah,
say,
blue is basically just the big no you deck.
here's one of my commander decks sitting right here.
Hmm
It's
Okay,
hard,
yeah, that's
I can-
black.
I like
and blue.
Hydras.
It's hard
I
to
can
Yeah,
read.
go
that's-
grab my I can go grab my cards.
Yeah, that's
right
black,
over there.
red, blue, isn't it? Yeah, that's
Yeah.
a Grixis deck.
It is Gyrus, Waker of Corpses.
Hmm.
And it's
That's pretty sick.
It was originally one of the first. It is still, I think, still the only black Hydra. There might be another. No, there's another one. Zaxra.
There should be actually a good number of like black Hydra cards out there, or even blue ones, because
Nope,
there's a lot of like
there's-
Sea Serpenty based ones.
There's green blue.
Shouldn't there?
There's green blue. No, it's very rare for green for Hydras to go outside of green anymore, because they are the
Oh,
quintessential
I see.
green monster. And I also have
Mhm.
King Ghidorah.
Oh,
What?
nice.
You have King Ghidorah as a card?
Yeah, they
Wait.
have Godzilla crossover.
I thought I could easily retrieve my Magic the Gathering decks, but they're somewhere in a card hotel over there, and it turned out to be not where I thought they were. So I don't.
I
wanna
have a
go
double
digging
deck
through the
box.
entire hotel.
We
Well, let me
did some
see. How
Magic
many decks have
online
I
during
got?
COVID,
One,
and I actually keep my
two,
decks at my desk now. to do
3,
the-
4.
We
One sec.
quit. We quit playing
5,
Magic when we were saving up for our wedding,
6.
and then we never really got back into it.
Gotcha. Yeah, Boca John. There was a whole crossover set
9.
that included many Godzilla cards. Ghidorah, several versions of Godzilla, including Baby Godzilla. Baby Godzilla is actually a card in that deck. It was actually a really cool concept because it was, what do they call it? Is it mutate? Because like they're all mutants. In Godzilla.
Oh yeah, the mutation. I think it's the.
So-
Wait, is it mutate or is it evolve?
It's a mutate. Evolve is the one that's like it. Mutate is
Yeah.
you take a card and you pay for its mutate cost, and you get to put the card under or on top of the card, and it has the stats. It gains all abilities of the 2 cards. So you meld their abilities together. So if one has flying and one has trample, they now have flying trample.
No way.
And whichever one's the top card is the power toughness. So if you mutate a 1/1 trample onto like a 6/6 nothing, you just gave that 6/6 trample. And
Hey, Fort.
yeah,
real
That
quick,
is so cool.
Did we tell the Discord we're streaming?
we did not tell the Discord. I forgot.
I'll take care of that.
I forgot. I was I was in kid mode, as you saw before we started streaming. I accidentally fell asleep just before their bedtime, and I was like, "Oh crap, it's bedtime. We need not just before bedtime, dinner time." So like I had to quickly fix dinner so they could eat before they go to bed, and then
Yeah.
I fell asleep because they were watching Roblox on YouTube. I can't watch that. I just actually, to be fair, when I woke up, I kind of got engrossed. They made a like a mini mall tycoon kind of game inside of Roblox. It was actually kind of cool. So they were trying to outdo each other with this mini mall tycoon, like who can raise more money. Hey, pan switch cameras.
Looks like it.
You know what?
Yeah.
That is a better camera, anyways.
I just got my husband's computer to talk to my camera, which is a much better camera than the one his computer has.
I need a better camera, to be honest. I got this Logitech for an interview like 4 years ago, and it was like $30.
I'm pretty sure you have the same camera. So the camera that my husband uses is like this cheap ass Logitech that I bought a while ago, and he kept stealing it from me. So for Christmas, he bought me this like $50 HD camera.
Yeah.
I've never
If
heard
we're
of
gonna be-
Cardfight Vanguard before. I wonder what that game's like.
Man, Morg. The king of sidetracks.
No. I just got to pay attention to chat, you know? I know you can't see it because it's blaring, but, you know, I'm here for you guys. I'm here for the public, you
That
know?
hurt
Here
my
for the
eyes
viewers.
from here.
Well, how do you think I look? I'm looking directly at it going...
I looked away.
Oh, hey, woo.
Your phone shines with the light of 1,000 suns.
Hey, Stray States.
Blinded by the light.
So, Morg,
next
you have a
story.
story.
Oh boy, I've got a bunch of them. Okay, did I
just
ever
the
talk
first
to you
one.
guys? Okay, well, did I ever tell you guys the story about the Food Network being an evil organization?
You hinted at it.
Yeah, not on the show. But yeah.
Okay, so what I did was I decided, well, we were going to play, what was it? It was that large collection of old dungeons from previous editions, and it's like in a 5th edition volume, like the large
Tales from
one.
the Yawning Portal.
That's the one, Tales from the Yawning Portal. And in one of those dungeons, I decided to play as a bard. And instead of, being the musical sort, I decided I would make him a chef. And so I decided, hey, what's a chef that likes to belittle people and, uses the power of his words to disempower his foes? Gordon Ramsay would probably be a great addition to the party, so I played as Gordon Ramsay, and all I did was just badmouth people and literally just use, every foul curse word and every slang that I could come up with just to, to completely, what's the word I'm looking for? To disarm and to shame every goblin that we came across, including kobolds. It was really, really funny. And so what happened was, after a while, I stopped playing as Gordon Ramsay, and then we created some backstory saying that he was actually part of a criminal organization called the Food Network because let's face it, the Food Network is evil by trade. They turn all the best cooking shows into dramas. Reality TV show. It's villainous. I hate it. And
It
so
gets views.
yeah, we just
It gets views. That's the problem. It gets views.
yeah.
Your problem,
It's
your problem
awful.
is the
It's
average
disgusting.
audience, not the Food Network.
Everybody's a Kardashian, man. Everybody's just stupid and made of plastic. But yeah, anyways, where was I? Yeah. So then what happened was we decided to make I think we were playing Baldur's Gate recently, and we decided, well, actually this was the DM's choice because he likes bringing the Food Network in to be like sometimes the bad guys. And so there was a situation where we had to deal with the Flaming Fists, and then there was another group, I believe it was some cultist wizards, I can't remember what organization it was, and then the Food Network. And they were caught in this trifecta of like power where they were all battling against each other to try and have control over the city we were in. And we used this big skirmish in order to be able to get past them all, or at least have it so that they whittled each other's forces down to be able to take each other out.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was really funny. And so then I made another character. I think, well, the first one that I played was an Abomination Barbarian, which is a homebrew that I definitely recommend people trying out because it's really awesome being able to Hulk out, turn into a big beast with like venomous teeth and claws, and be resistant to psychic damage. But then what happened was he got cornered by a bunch of cultists who all used inflict wounds on him. There were like 6 of them, and they just Thanos snapped him out of existence. And so then I had to make a new character, and I decided to play as a wizard hobgoblin who works under
Food Network.
the evil Food Network. But I'm not telling anybody in my party about that because I want to keep it a secret. They think that I'm working for the Flaming... No. I work for the Food Network. I'm planning to kill them all later. I like playing as bad guy. But yeah. Oh, I feel like more people should play as the villain in a lot of their campaigns, like just to play, like the funny twist,
Okay.
But it has to be okayed by the DM because if they want to develop chemistry in the campaign, then so be it, and no hard feelings taken. Nothing should be too personal. So I mean, if you play a bad guy and you're planning to kill your teammates, as long as everybody's having fun, if you win or lose, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, that's why as a DM I always set up rules. We are here as a party, working together to do things, and then that's my normal ground rules. B, I don't allow evil characters 9 out of 10 times unless we're specifically doing something evil. And then C, on top of that, no, regardless of alignment, I always stress no player fighting. Because we actually had an incident of that, which I don't know if I'm going to talk about that tonight or not, but basically everyone was fighting over Bulborb armor. We were playing a Nintendo campaign, and we made Bulborb leather armor from Pikmin, and everyone was like literally fighting over it because they wanted the upgrade because it was a +1 leather armor, and we were all plebes with no magic items at that point. So yeah, there you go. But I'll start off with my first story with an early DMing story from my days in high school. A little bit of backstory for listeners. I've been DMing since I was 13. So I have been playing D&D for... Yeah, it's 20 years now. This is my 20th year that I've been DMing and playing off and on. And I don't think I've missed a year yet, but I have not played consistently over that whole time. So I had an incident in high school, though. I call the herbal essence incident. So being a high school kid,
Herbal essences.
Yes. So
did somebody accidentally put a black pudding on their head, thinking it was shampoo or conditioner?
No. So what I want to say, I will preface this. This thing started the reason why I do not allow people to play the opposite gender of what they identify as. Now, I have loosened up on this because I have played with more reasonable people since. But at the time, I had to make a rule. If you're a guy, you are not playing as a girl. Period. So let's set this up a little bit. So I was big on making dungeons, right? I still like doing that. I think Pan, you can attest to that. You had that whole Patreon thing with the dungeons. So I made a dungeon that was a I like doing like trick puzzles and that kind of stuff. And one of the things that I loved is there was this clear blue water. Think of like Diddy Kong Racing. There was that night beach level where the water was like a sparkling teal, like that kind of like Bahamas like tropical looking water that's like super clear but like super like blue teal looking.
Like off the island of Crete. I don't know if
Yeah.
you've seen like pictures from there.
Yeah, something like that, where it's like hyper blue. Whoa.
Don't worry, I have not left. Don't worry, I'm still here.
Yeah, but it's
Don't
like
mind my profile picture. Yes, I do like to
blinding
draw.
white.
Ah, there it is.
Blinding white.
Found it.
Anyways,
How am I supposed to vape if I don't have a vape?
not save your life?
Give me that sweet, sweet fix, baby. Mm.
Gosh. Anyways, um,
A little suckle on the old douche flute. That's so good.
Douche flute.
Anyways,
I think we did just lose him, but keep going for it.
yeah. So there's this dungeon that is completely submerged in this color of water, and the trick is that it's breathable water. So people are trying to figure out how to get through this dungeon without breathing in water. And eventually, there you go. Spoilers, they never figured this out. We never got that far. So, one of the things was supposed to introduce you to the idea is these skeletons designed to teach you that the water's breathable. They're not hostile skeletons, but they will grapple you and pull you under, which seems very hostile.
Oh my god. I just thought of something horrible. Imagine if somebody was playing as a villain character and was like, well, I'm bored. Good thing I got this sack of puppies that I wanted to drown for the longest while, and then they just throw it into the river and like, oh, the puppies are fine. Hey, there's something odd about this water. You know, oh my god. Could you imagine that? No, that would be one way to, you know,
Lord,
just catalyze the whole campaign.
You're such a special creature.
Yeah. So,
well, I mean, when I'm playing D&D, I can fit into any role. Like, it's really funny.
hence why your name is Chub Chub.
Point is, just don't take
Puppy
anything
drowner.
seriously.
A man of many talents. Continue with the herbal essences incident. I'm bought in.
So, I will. I don't want to use their real names, but I can't. Bob and Tim.
Just name them after celebrities, like
good
Brad
friends
and
of
Toby.
mine.
I don't know.
They were like, we were like the Musketeers in high school, Bob and Tim, right? That is not their real names to protect their identities.
Bob, Tim, and Chad.
I mean, I am Cham. I will say that. So Chad isn't too far off.
Oh no, I said Chad, as in like, you know,
Yeah, I
like
know.
as like the lake in Africa.
Forget it, Morg. Anyways, the skeletons are there to design to teach you that you could quote unquote drown and be fine. So obviously they fight the skeletons. It's kind of the ruse anyways, right? Like, okay, so we're going to fight the skeletons. But their victory dance of defeating these easy skeletons is, they're like both playing female characters, by the way. It might have been obvious since the setup. And they're like,
Yeah.
I take off all of my clothes. And I'm like, why? He's like, don't you know that sparkling blue water from the commercials Herbal Essence? And they start doing Herbal Essence commercials. And they're like acting them out to each other at the table. Like, whoa, whoa.
Oh no.
Doesn't my hair look beautiful? And I was like, okay, it's funny, but like, can we actually play? Never got any further. The rest of the night was just them making Herbal Essence commercials at each other. The whole night. Like,
what the hell?
so,
Oh my god, that sounds like a fun time. Damn it, why wasn't I there? Wish.
so I mean, you had to have been in Ohio when I was like, I think I was 15. Like,
Right, 15-year-old boys. It makes a little more sense now.
no, yeah, like I said, we were high school. Like it was, but I was very much like, hey, I have this cool idea, and like no one's playing it. And my brother, he was also playing, was so over it. And if you guys have talked to my brother a little bit, he's a little bit more like segmented. He's like, no, we are doing this right now. I'm done. I'm out. Like he fought Magnamalo with us twice, and he was like, I'm good. I've had my fun. Later, guys. I'm not doing it. Like, So my brother was over it. He just left. He went to bed. He was like, "This is stupid. I'm gone." So it was.
Why is he working towards getting a speed run? You know, he could get like 7 minutes on that run.
So it was kind of funny, but it was also infuriating because we never did anything with that dungeon. That dungeon is still drawn up, and no one has gone into the mouth of the dungeon yet. Like, it is. So one of these days I might revive it if I get the but I'm not much of a DM anymore. It's too much planning for me. So considering I do all this podcast stuff now, I'd rather just do that. So there you go. That's my first story. So back to Pan on a more epic story.
All right. Well, good news is my computer apparently lives, but I'll probably finish out on my husband's computer because I don't want to have to like make you edit multiple files.
Yeah.
So I'm happy about that. He just got it booted. So this next story, I call it Death's Scythe. So I'm trying to remember who all was in this group. Okay, roughly the same players actually as the previous story. You know, we lost a couple of people along the way. They moved away or whatever. And then we gained a few folks.
Mm-hmm.
But this story took place, I think, about a year or two after the last one. And we were in a whole different campaign. Most everybody was playing the offspring of their previous characters or somehow related.
Mm-hmm.
So they're around level 9 or 10 at this point. Sorry. Yeah, they're around level 9 or 10 at this point, and they're currently on a quest to deal with this plague that's ravaging the city. I called it Draco Blight, and it's basically it's what if dragons got Ebola.
Oh.
And yeah, it basically causes like their scales to melt and fall off, and they start bleeding out their gums and eyes and eyeballs, and that's a big problem for the Dragonborn Empire. So, and also the Crown Princess has fallen ill with it, and
oh no!
Yeah. And one of the players, the Crown Princess was his half sister because he was the Emperor's bastard son. As his previous character, the Dragonborn sorcerer from the last story went on to become the Emperor.
Yeah, I think I remember you talking about that one time.
Yeah, I did. So he was the Emperor's bastard son, and so he wants to save his sister's life and redeem himself in the eyes of his father, and yada yada yada. So they got to cure the Draco Blight.
Yeah.
So they find out that there is this artifact of like extreme destructive magical power that's in the hands of this up and coming demon lord, and so and he seems to be the sort of malevolent force behind this recent outbreak of Draco Blight. So they have to go to his lair of hell and get this staff back from him. So they completely and utterly fuck up their mission to like infiltrate this palace, and they get their asses caught about 5 minutes in. And it wasn't like they failed a stealth check. No, they were like, "Hey, motherfucker, we're gonna storm right in through your front door." And
seems like a bad idea.
So they stormed right in through the front door, and this up and coming devil lord with this staff of extreme malevolent power, like basically summoned his army of demons and curb stomped them and chained them up and dragged them to his dungeon. So I'm like, okay, oh god, I've got to get them out of this because I can't just like kill them all in this dungeon in hell. So I'm like, okay, what happens when evil villains have got the good guys surrounded and got them captured? What do they do?
Monologue to their own disaster.
They monologue.
Yeah.
So I'm like, all right.
Of course they do.
So I he has his guards haul their asses up to his throne room, and he's given a great villain monologue. How dare you storm my fortress, and you weak puny mortals, war. And he's like shaking the staff, and then they check out the staff, and I'm like, I describe it as a long wooden staff of somewhat plain design, with two sort of strange handles at one end of it. So, yeah. So, like, okay. All right. they just like grind the game to a halt because they can't like understand what I just described.
Yeah.
Basically, you ever seen like a scythe, like a big ass like old timey scythe?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's what I'm trying to describe, the stick end of a scythe.
Mm-hmm.
And so
A little
one of the
curved.
players, yeah, well, no, just the stick. No, there's no blade on it.
Well, no,
So-
the stick normally is curved from the head down to the handle a little bit.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So, one of the players, he's a necromancer, and he's like, oh, he starts piecing together various clues that I left them, and he's like, I wait until he finishes his monologue, and then I tackle him and grab that staff. I'm like, okay. So he makes a couple rolls, and he does very well on his roll, and so he basically tackles the staff out of the demon lord's hands, and his consciousness is immediately whisked away across the multiverse, and he comes face to face with the Reaper himself.
Uh-oh.
Ooh.
And the pale rider upon the white horse, he says in his deathly hollow voice, "Who are you who holds my staff?" And the necromancer guy is just going,
Yeah.
"My lord!"
Of course he would.
He's like, "My dark lord, I am in the third layer of hell, in the throne room of
Such and
Abaddon
such.
of the House of Belial,
Yeah.
and I need you to get here right now. I ride for my staff." And then he stretches out his hand and dismisses the necromancer.
Oh no.
Mhm.
And so the necromancer gets back, like his consciousness snaps back to his body, and Abaddon has snatched the staff back, and he's had his guards like curb stomp the necromancer a couple times. And he says, "How dare you, mortal!" And then they hear this distant sound of horse hooves upon the stone, and the pale rider comes riding into the throne room, and just sort of towering over Abaddon, and snatches his staff back.
Mhm.
And he says, "Where is the blade?" And Abaddon doesn't know. Nobody knows. And the players, like, the gears are turning in their heads because they have this weird sword that they've hung onto for months.
Mm-hmm.
Probably crescent shaped.
It is a crescent-shaped sword, and this like dragon of death has been like chasing them for months. I actually have her randomly. I roll a D100, and on a 75 or lower, she shows up randomly and attacks them and fights them for the staff again, or for the not the staff,
The blade. Yeah.
Yeah, and so they're like, "Oh shit, we can kill two birds with one stone." I actually called her Magala.
Oh my god, really?
Yeah, I did.
Really?
They're like, "Magala will stop chasing us, and he's on our side." So they toss him the crescent blade, and he fits the two
Oh, I'm
pieces
so
back
happy.
together. He fits the two pieces back together and whirls his scythe above his head and chops off Abaddon's head. And so threat is dealt with, and death sort of like looms over them, and he says, "You mortals may ask one boon each of me."
Really? A favor from Death himself?
Yes. And I said, "By the way, guys, now that Death has his scythe back, because he hasn't had his scythe for thousands of years, resurrection doesn't work anymore." And they all
Permadeath.
Yeah, so permadeath is a thing in my campaign ever since this.
Wow.
It's like being back in Chult.
Nice.
So the necromancer says, I want to know the ritual to lichdom. And everybody just kind of like looks over at him because like up until this point he has not been evil.
Mm-hmm.
So he gets to know the ritual that is required to become a lich. I don't give him the items he needs for the ritual, but he knows
He just
the
has to
ritual.
find them himself.
Yeah, he had to get like that was a whole nother thing. The bard, he says, I ask that you recall the plague of Draco Blight that is plaguing my city, and like the other two guys like ask for like get out of death free card each.
Gotcha.
Since it's permadeath now. So death grants them, and then he rides away. And that's the story of how my players bumbled their way into this Devil Lord's castle, got their asses captured, and summoned Death himself to cut off the Devil Lord's head.
Wow.
And one of your characters is able to cheat death by obtaining a phylactery.
This is why I have always wanted to play in Pan's campaigns. So good.
They sound fun as hell.
They are. Better than mine, that's for sure, and Morg can account to that.
Well, no. I mean, yours are pretty darn fun. You include Monster Hunter monsters in them.
Sometimes, yes.
By the way, if anybody's interested, Oh, wait, no. I can't invite players into our campaign.
I've
that.
talked about this. I am discontinuing that. I don't have the time or energy to DM that as far as also do the show.
Oh, no!
Also do everything else.
Too bad.
Yeah. I just don't have the time and energy, man.
No more Adventures of Chub Chub.
When you have booked yourself literally 5 out of 7 nights a week, I think that's a little much.
Yeah. That's true.
Yeah, it's just I can't do it.
I mean, that is chiefly the reason why I'm not in anything except this, is because I've got to do my game on Fridays.
Yeah. Ace, your next Magic story, considering it's adjacent.
Well, one thing I love about Magic is the ability to be beyond dickish with the plays that I make and the decks that I make.
Man, I am the.
So you're a blue player primarily.
Okay, so I have to ask: have you created an infinite loop yet?
I was gonna say, so one of the things you like about Magic is that you can be a bit dickish. So you're primarily a blue player.
Between green and blue, this one is a mono green deck that I have made.
Yeah,
that is
so this one.
Mono green can be pretty. Yeah.
This one is my casual mono green deck that is centered around Hydra Broodmaster, which is my favorite Hydra card in the game.
Same here. And I collect Hydras.
Of course.
I have every Hydra that it was ever printed. So yeah, it's a good one.
How do you get your hands on every Hydra printed?
eBay.
I mean, I go to card
Of
sites.
course.
My favorite is Troll and Toad. They're an online retailer that's actually based out of Kentucky, which is really close to me because I'm in Southern Ohio. So I buy as local as possible. Is the way I see it.
So, in this particular one, me and some friends from Scouts were just doing some casual play. And I let them know, are you sure you want to take on this deck? Because it is centered around ramping up mana as much as possible. Because it has Nykthos, Shrine to Nyx, which basically doubles your mana source. It has several Voyaging Satyrs, which can untap lands.
Yes.
And there's what is it? What's the card? There's Karametra's Acolyte, I think, where she also taps. She taps and gives you green mana equal to your devotion to green.
Oh, wow.
I want to say that I was in a bad spot in this one, and within 2 or 3 turns from death, but I had all the essential mana rampers, and they didn't have any removal, so to speak of. So,
dirty.
I tap Karametra so that I can, because if I remember correctly, Nykthos costs 2 mana, I think, to tap. So I use some of that mana to tap. Then I use Voyaging Satyr, tap that to untap Nykthos. Then I use another Voyaging Satyr. And by the end of it, I think the Hydra Broodmaster ended up spawning in 28 Hydra tokens. and my friend just scooped up his cards and walked away from me.
Now here's the thing. Here's what you do. Here's what you do. Not only can you do this, but you get a haste engine. So if you're in a red-green deck like I was, you get anger. And if anger is in your graveyard and you have a mountain in play, just a mountain, everything has haste. So you do this main phase 1.
Oh.
Then you put the Throne of Tarkir on the Hydra Broodmaster. Now, because you have to some extra mana you have to spend to equip and use the Throne of Tarkir, you have less. So you'll have probably, if you do everything in one play, you'll probably only have 20 Hydras. But with the Throne of Tarkir's ability, everything gets whatever the power and toughness is that a Throne of Tarkir is equipped to, and trample. So you've given your 20 Hydras 20 plus 7, because it's a 7/7, 27 and trample. So they're now 47s with trample and haste.
That's
was
just
my deck.
Pure evil.
That was it. Now,
The fact that
let me show you. I have every Hydra in chronological order from print.
Oh man.
what the
Up to 9 copies.
I'm not gonna swear. But yeah. Holy crap.
So, if you notice, they start as red in early.
Okay.
Then we get into green-white, which you can't see really well. Then you have red-green. And then here, they start becoming green. And then
Okay.
they're just green for most of the time out. Although Progenitus is 5-color. It's hard to see with the glare. But, yeah,
I'm trying
I
to
have
remember
every
which
Hydra. Now, this is Binder 1. There is a Binder 2 that has the rest of them. And this is in
Oh, jeez.
chronological order. 1 page per Hydra printing.
I have to ask Ace, have you ever thought of like making like a mana ramp deck that utilizes like all the potential of green, but then like the destructive power of red to make a Gruul deck where it's just like casting like high-end spells that just do stupid amounts of damage?
That's pretty much every Gruul deck there is. I mean,
I am very casual in my playing.
Okay.
I used to be more in the loop in like my high school and early college days, but
nice.
those days are behind me because I'd rather sink my money into Monster Hunter than Magic, because Magic,
Yeah, Magic
there's
is
just
awfully
too
expensive.
many sets and too many things that I'd want to get into, knowing myself.
That's true.
Yes, I have that one as well as the Volcano one. I really like them. I actually recreated the Steelbook visual with them.
Nice. I like that.
That is sick. Totally sick.
All right, Morg. Hit
Oh,
us
man.
with your next story. We're only like into story 2, and it's over an hour into this show. Holy cow!
I honestly wish that I
I only
had
really
more
have one
stories
more,
from my
so.
Magic decks, but like, I mean, I only have like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7,
I was getting worried about that too, Ford.
11. Like, I think I only got like 12 decks, and I haven't really used any of them. I know it's a very small amount. It's
I
not
got
that
like
many.
5, and my most recent one is a death deck from like the first set from Theros. Like, I haven't really touched the game since Theros.
Well, my brother is what they describe as a whale in the gotcha industry.
Yeah.
I will not disclose the amount of money he spends on Magic because it would be irresponsible to do so. But let's just say, if there's
Does he
ever
play
a
Magic the
card-
Gathering Arena?
He's a
No.
Magic the Gathering player. It can be assumed.
But he doesn't play Arena.
No, he does not play Arena. He does not like to play
Good
online.
thing. Oh my god. You'd go bankrupt if you ever played Arena, because there's a lot of gotcha elements to that game.
He is physical only.
Okay,
so-
good.
And with COVID, that really toned down, but he still buys at least a box every set. It used to be a case every set, which, if you don't know,
Oh wow.
a case is 6 boxes. So,
That is insane.
Jesus.
and I'm saying at least. There was more. Like I said, I won't say the amount of money he spends on it because it's just That's up to him to disclose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Oh my
what's your
God.
story? Who's next?
Okay.
Morgue.
Okay. So I'm gonna get into a story where I was it was a homebrew campaign that a friend of mine did where it was kind of like almost like what is it War of Roses elements to it, where it's a little bit more complicated than that, where like the king was kind of sleeping around a lot, and so he had all these illegitimate heirs all over the place or whatever. But like the queen was a total bitch, and she wanted to make sure that her son got and stayed on the throne and was staying in power or whatever.
Yeah.
And then there were all these other crazy factions that were involved as well. And as we were like going through all the different factions, helping people out and stuff like that, we were trying to decide, well, who's going to be the one on top at the very end. And so we got to a point where we were in like this city that was primarily spellcasters.
Yeah.
And like the main leader, like the big grand wizard, his daughter was sick, and he used magic in order to prevent her from passing on into the afterlife. But what he didn't realize was that she was actually intended to die, so in that way she could take place amongst the other angels, because she was an angel incarnate that was on Earth for too long or whatever, or like for a while. And it was her time to move on, so in that way she could take place in the battle against demons and such like that. So what happened was this angel goes and abducts. Yeah. So what happens is the angel goes and abducts the child from the spellcasters. And then, he's about to, recite a ritual that, takes the spell off of her that keeps her bound to the material plane. But while she's, like, still alive, she's, like, suffering from, like, this horrible magical curse or whatever. It is, like, magical feedback for whatever. And, like, the old Grand Wizard, because, he's very ignorant, he doesn't believe in an afterlife and stuff like that, he doesn't want to let her go. So he sends us to go and deal with this freaking Archangel. And, and I was playing as this druid called Drazil, who believes in the natural order of things, which is like, the balance between life and death and good and evil, and that, and there's merit to everything existing, and that things that happen naturally are supposed to happen without interference and stuff like that, because that's the way things are, that's the way they're supposed to be. Believes in absolute balance, nature being fair, beautiful, and cruel, and terrifying at the same time. And so while the party is trying to coax this angel to let the child go, he's explaining, no, we need the child. She was the highest amongst our ranks, and without her, we can't win this war. And so Drazil, he's kind of going around the side, whatever, and he's listening in, and then all of a sudden the Grand Wizard comes in, going all crazy, all rampage through, just like, give me back my kid, and he's casting spells and stuff like that. And like, just as like he's about to cast a spell that's gonna hit the angel, everybody's like, no, we gotta stop this guy. And instead, what Drazil does is he blocks the shot for an archangel, and he's like, stop! You must find peace and stuff like that. And when I did that, I caught the GM and all my party off guard. They were like, you're taking the shot for the Archangel? And I'm like, it was absolutely necessary. And then all of a sudden, like, the stops, and then the angel stops, and everybody stops. And they're like, what the hell is going on? Whatever. And then Drazil, he just like turns to the angel, and he's like, be merciful to the old man. He doesn't understand. He may be old in body, but he is young and inexperienced in mind. He does not carry the wisdom, to understand. You have to explain this to him, that it's okay, that everything is all right, and stuff like, and then like, to have mercy on him, to treat him as if he was a boy that needs to be, that needs a lesson explained to him. And so the DM, oh my god! And this actually led into a beautiful moment where the session where everybody was taught a lesson of forgiveness and understanding and compassion and higher learning. And oh my god, the moment was, it was so beautiful. Everybody cried. It was so funny. Everybody was in tears as the GM was explaining this miraculous moment where the angel just embraces him and is like, it's okay. And the old man is crying in the arms of this, this powerful being, as, explaining, and nurturing him and, being there for him in a way that, he really needed him because, I forgot to explain that the Grandmaster's wife died prematurely and all he had was the kid, and without the kid he wouldn't have a family to hold on to it. He couldn't afford to let go of that, and so that was why he used magic to keep her with him. And so wow, that was one of the most powerful moments that I ever experienced in a D&D session, and I got so much inspiration for it. It was miraculous. Oh,
that's awesome.
Beautiful moment. Great things can come out of D&D. A lot of cool lessons.
I'm gonna go for a funny one.
I'm excited.
So, a little bit of backstory to my screen name Fortuan. It was my first D&D character ever, and I reincarnate him through different campaigns and versions and whatnot. And Fortuan is just a human rogue. And
okay.
I was trying to make my first D&D character in first edition, by the way. And my dad had a character generator, and I was looking at the keyboard, and I was thinking all these character names for games I made up all the time. And I was like, what haven't I used? And I was I'm going to start with a letter. F. Okay, I got to go with a vowel. O. And I went RT. And I was thinking about my name. And I went UA, because if you line up my real name and Fortuan, UA are in the same spot. And then I went
wow.
N. And I went N. Fortuan. There you go. And then that is how Fortuan came up to be. And then I've been that online since. So I've had that screen name since I was 15. And I started using it when I was 13.
That's a pretty sick name, by the way.
Thanks.
For the longest time, I thought it was some reference to Fortran trading, coding, a coding.
No. I was a coder. I did not know that Fortran existed, and but when I made this, I knew HTML. I knew that. So I'm playing one of the iterations of Fortuan in 3rd edition. And my brother is the DM, and we are fighting, I don't remember what it was, but something in a hallway. It's only a 10-foot hallway. And I was known for being a rogue, and what you need to sneak attack is to hide in 3rd edition. There's no, because I have advantage, I get to do the bonus damage. It is, you have to be hidden. And that's the way it was in a lot of older versions as well. So I go, and I have this move where I do an acrobatics check where I run up on the wall to get around things and jump behind them so I can flank.
Okay, now that's awesome. I miss flanking rules, actually, by the way.
I mean...
A little bit. I'm not talking about 3.5 flanking. Wait. No, was it 3.5 that had it where it was plus for this and minus for that and all this complicated stuff?
+2 for flanking in 3.5. In 5th edition, it's advantage.
I don't do flanking because it just turns every fight into being a fucking conga line of death.
I like what Stray State said. Several of your Doom stories start with a 10-foot hallway as well. Yeah, it's fair. So I go to say, I'm going to do this move where I wall run and get behind him. And I go, okay. And I called it my signature move because it's the thing that my character did all the time because his weapons were a longsword and a dagger. So he dual wielded and that kind of stuff. So I was like, okay, so I'm going to do my signature move. And my friend, different guy, Larry. Let's just say Larry. Not his.
These are all based names, man.
I mean, the names I'm covering up are also
Use character names.
I don't remember. It was
Okay, fine.
He didn't
Keep
care
going.
about his
Sorry.
characters. I didn't care about his character. He was just a guy that we played with. He always just played a fighter with nothing. So I was like, I'm going to do my signature move. And he just slams the table and goes, "What? Hide?" And I'm like, no, I was going to... And then everyone's just laughing. And, like, no one could focus. Like, so every time I say that I'm going to do my signature move, it was just now me hiding. Like, that's what people... And I was like, but no, it's the wall run thing, I swear. Like... It was so funny. Like I had to admit it was funny because it was a bash on me hiding all the time.
True.
But like I was like, ah, man, why'd you do that? Like, and they were just so yeah. My signature move apparently became hiding at that point. I did succeed. I did succeed at that check though, and get behind it. I don't remember that. I think we won, but like it wasn't it. The actual success of the roll was far less important than Larry's joke there. So yeah, that's my second story. A lot of my stories are as characters. Honestly, I identify more as a player than a DM. I've always DM'd out of necessity because no one else learned how to do it, and I've been doing it since I was like 13, and I'm the only one who read the books when I was 13. So.
You have to be like a human operating system almost.
I mean,
kind of complicated.
There is enjoyment in being a DM, somewhat of like crafting a story, and yeah, and Pan's really good at it, really good at thinking about all that kind of stuff. But for me, I prefer to be a player. Like I did a pretty grand thing with the podcast one we did, I feel, but like. It's just a lot of energy and time that I don't really feel like putting into it all the time. Whereas it's not as enjoyable for me as other people. So most of my stuff is enjoyable as a player rather than a DM. Although the first one
I think you did a pretty good job. Like
all
the fights that we were in, they were pretty well balanced.
I don't think I'm bad. I just don't enjoy it as much.
I like setting up impossible scenarios for my campaigns. And when I say campaigns, I just mean the one that failed absolutely miserably. But I'm going to make a comeback, don't worry.
I did TPK a whole 4th edition party with the Grick Pit. And if you guys read my ecology of the Grick, it appears in the ecology. So, there you go. Hey, it's Truzen.
Nice.
Hello.
True! How you doing, bud?
So yeah, Pan, your third story.
All right, so this story is one of the first times I did a sort of slow burn on one of my players. Fortwan, you've heard the story a few times, and I've posted the associated video in the post-episode discussion channel on the Discord. So, if you guys listening along, if you want to see the player's actual IRL reaction to this, I recorded it.
I love this one. This is one of my favorite stories of yours.
Yeah. So, by the way, the person in question is the player who was the paladin from the egg incident. But he's on a whole new character. This is like a couple years later. He's on a new character. He is Brock Stonefist, who is he's a bounty hunter. He basically decided he was like Dog the Bounty Hunter if Dog the Bounty Hunter was a dwarf.
Yeah.
And but the thing is that he told me when he made the character, I want this guy to have amnesia, and I want you to do something with that.
Oh, boy.
So,
giving the DM that much power over your character is a really scary thing.
It is. And for a while, I didn't do anything with it because I wanted to sit on it and think for a while. And we just kind of continued, and he kept being like, so what's the deal with his amnesia? I'm like, don't worry, it's coming. Don't worry. I've got something in mind. I didn't have it in mind yet.
Not yet.
But one of a sort of running theme across all my games, I really like trapped doors, like doors that like bite back or slam down on you or explode when you touch the doorknob or ye old hot doorknob, things like that.
When you said a door that bites back, I can't help but think of just a door that's just made of teeth.
So
it's like airlock doors, but it's like just jaws.
A mimic door. I've had a mimic
disgusting.
So,
Or make it like a Star Wars door, front to down.
yeah. Well, one of my favorite door traps. One of my favorite door traps is what we fondly began to call the Dagger Lock. And what it is non-magical because you can't see it with detect magic. It is completely and utterly mechanical, and it is a hidden contraption inside of the door where if you don't disengage the trap and you go to try the doorknob, a knife will spring out of the keyhole and slice open your hand. Or if you fail the lock-picking check by enough, it will slice up your fingers or poke you in the eye.
What a mean... What a bully!
She said bite back. She said bite back.
Now, this was one of my favorite things to do because my players, all the time, they'd be like, well, I tried the doorknob. Oh, shit.
Oops.
Yeah, they do it every time. And I'm like, all right, make your deck save. I started letting them make deck saves because, like, their characters got savvy to dagger locks. But anyways, but seriously, every fucking door. If it doesn't matter if it's in literal hell or if it's like at the gatehouse of Shangri-La, every door between, someone somewhere has made a goddamn fortune designing and building these dagger locks for fucking everybody.
Yes.
Yeah. So now the guy who decided he was a bounty hunter, he's a barbarian, and he took some background that gave him lockpicking. So he decided he was the party lockpicker instead of the bard.
A barbarian with dex?
No.
He
did not have dex.
Just a barbarian.
So he was a really shit lockpicker. He probably should have let the bard do the lockpicking, but he really wanted to be the guy who did the lockpicking.
Yeah, I figured he probably wouldn't be doing very good.
No, he was a really shitty lockpicker, so he kept getting stung by these dagger locks because he would fail by more than 5 points on his lockpicking checks, and he'd get like a dagger to the face or slice open his hand or something like that. And then the bard would roll his eyes and he would go over and pick the lock.
Oh my god.
So
never fear, I'm the designated lockpicker. I'll deal with it. I'll deal with it. Bard comes in. Okay, let's go. Designated lockpicker.
Yeah, meanwhile, like the cleric is over here like,
yeah,
you know. So one day, he got like sliced, like he tried to dodge, so it like cut across his face and chopped off like the tip of his nose or something. The player just lost his shit. He said, and I wrote it down for posterity, so I'll quote him directly here. Oh no, I'm sorry. I skipped ahead. I missed something. So one day, they have been contracted to. They're going to go meet this shady individual at this abandoned manor, and they do a little bit of research about the manor. And someone says, "Oh, that's old Dagger Lock Manor."
Mm-hmm.
They didn't. That's old Dagger Lock Manor. I'm like, "Oh, okay."
The guy who invented them.
That place has been abandoned for years. That place has been abandoned for years, and so they go up to the front door, and on the front door is the family seal, which is a depiction of a skewered hand with blood dripping from it.
Mm-hmm.
Disgusting.
And so the barbarian, he goes up to pick the lock, and he fails, and it slices him across the face, and that's when he loses his shit, and he says, "Fuck this Dagger Lock guy! Fuck the inventor of this trap! Fuck his family, fuck his wife's family, fuck all the gold they made on this. I'm going to get a chronomancer to send me back in time so I can terminate this motherfucker by repeatedly kicking his dad in the nads. I will raise this manor to the ground and piss on the ashes. Nobody will dare speak the name of Dagger Lock."
Beautiful.
So
a beautiful oath of vengeance right there.
Yes. So we gave him a minute to cool down, like go get a drink of water, because he was actually like personally a little worked up. The party went inside. The shady individual says, "All right, I want you to go break into this vault that belongs to the Neuromancers Guild, and they have memories locked up in their vault. So I want you to go find the memories of Dale Daggerlock and bring them to me. They contain trade secrets, and I need to know how dagger locks are made." And they're like, "Oh, perfect. perfect. We're gonna leak these secrets out to the world, and they'll never make money again, and all the dagger locks everywhere will just instantly get picked. So they break into the vault, they do their dungeon run, and they find the room where Dale Daggerlock's memories are being stored. And the barbarian just charges right in, flips open the lid, and reaches in to grab the memories, and they all suddenly flow back into his mind, and he remembers his childhood and his dear beloved father, Dale Daggerlock.
Yay! Prodigal son has returned.
And he realizes he is Dale Daggerlock Jr.
So he basically
Perfect.
just...
Yeah. The neuromancers put him into hiding because a crazed adventurer, angry at what the Daggerlocks had done to him, came and slaughtered the family, and so the neuromancers took the kid's memories away and put him into hiding so that nobody would find him.
That is brilliant.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
And then and so I posted in the post-episode discussion channel where you guys can see the player's actual reaction. But we got to move the pod chat along so you guys watch it while somebody is talking about something boring. I don't know.
Oh my
If you two
God.
want to see this, Fortune's seen it a few times.
I have. It's very good. His reaction is gold. Yeah, it's good. All right. Ace, do you your final one, I guess?
So this one is a bit more recent because it's on MTG Arena where it happened. I've been casually delving into deck building and playing through on there and getting my ass handed to me with randoms on the internet. I have a mono white deck that I sort of main in that game right now. And one round, me and this random got into a really weird will I, won't I, will I, won't I, will you, won't you type thing.
Mm-hmm.
Because we were each in a bad situation of I had a bunch of flyers and they had a bunch of ground troops, and so we got into a 10 to 15 turn loop of neither one of us attacking because I wanted to keep my flyers for defense because I didn't have anything that had what is it? Where you don't tap? I'm blanking right now.
Vigilance?
Vigilance?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is
Okay, yeah,
vigilance.
that's what it is. Yeah, I didn't have anything with vigilance, so I was like, I don't really want to attack in the air if it means I'm gonna get slogged on the ground. So this went on for 10 to 15 turns until finally I got enough mana and enough good cards that I was able to mount up a decent force,
Mm-hmm.
and then I swung with everything in just the off chance, and they didn't block anything. And because I had lifelink on, and I think I had a double your attack card or something like that, I wound up taking them out negative 54
Oh, my God.
no!
60 something, and I was like, no, what have I done?
So
I'm an asshole.
nah, you don't. Yeah, it's a head-to-head game, right? You're there to win. That's one thing that I struggled with when I was playing early on. That you don't.
Yeah.
You don't need to worry about being an asshole unless you're actually playing meta decks specifically to harm someone,
Dismantle somebody very slowly. Those decks can be very mean.
I have a lot of self-imposed rules because I don't like certain cards like Eldrazi. I hate Eldrazi. I think they're too powerful.
The Eldrazi are they're so powerful. Oh, do you play Infect decks? Have you ever tried an Infect deck?
No, I do not play Infect decks, but there are a few Infect cards. So I had a Xenagos deck for a long time, and Xenagos, to describe, is a card that at the beginning of combat, choose a creature, give it haste, and give it power and toughness equal to its power. So essentially double its power. And I had an Infect card. It was a 5/1 with Infect. So if you double it, it's 10 Infect. They're dead.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, because all you
yeah.
need is 10 poison counters, and then they immediately die. And I think they also attribute -1, -1 counters towards monsters as well, whenever, or creatures, I mean, whenever
if
they block.
If they choose the block, but I make it so I only put down that card because it has haste. I only put down that card to knock someone out quickly, especially if they're being kind of a problem for everybody. But
Infect cards, yeah.
But go ahead.
To your point earlier, I do have, though, I made it on tappedout.net. I have a blue-black modern mill deck that is made for sheer dickishness, and I've never been able to like proxy play with anyone else, but playing against my own decks, the fastest that I've been able to mill out a normal 60-card deck is turn 4 or 5.
Mill decks are disgusting. I hate mill decks. Unless I'm playing a mill deck, in which case then it's fun.
Here's one of the things. Gyrus Waker of Corpses is an anti-mill deck because his ability is whenever he attacks, he brings something back from the graveyard that is less than or equal to his power. So you just get to bring something back for free, and there's a lot of stuff that allows the stuff to keep on the deck. But yeah, okay.
Jund decks are also really good against milling decks because like you can activate cards from your graveyard if they've got the right abilities for it. So you can always use your graveyard as a resource, not just your deck or your hand. So I like those. Those are pretty fun.
Isn't there a black planeswalker like Liliana something or other? One of her powers is that she deals damage to the player equal to the number of creatures in the graveyards.
There might be.
There might be a planeswalker that's like that.
Yeah, I seem to recall something like that because one of my friends was super into milling for a while until I bought that card and just made him shut the fuck up with it.
I know there is a card
Not
that is
this
equal
time, he says.
There is a card that is equal to the amount of cards in all graveyards. It's power and toughness. There is that. Just
maybe
cards.
that's what I'm remembering. I know there's a picture of Liliana on it, or whatever the hell her name is.
Liliana.
I have it. Liliana, that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know which one. There's so many Lilianas, so.
Yeah, there's a ton of them.
So Morg, what's your third story?
Oh boy, are you guys ready for Tongo? Is it
I like
Tongo
how we
time?
picked this
yes,
up,
I think it's Tongo time.
In 30 minutes, we got through a couple stories. It's good.
Okay, so I'm gonna make this one very quick. Okay, so I designed a Turtle Druid. You know, he's got a decent wisdom bonus or whatever, but he's got, like, I think the lowest intelligence score that I have ever had of any characters, and so I decided to make it so that he was something of a wise ass, but, like, in a way where he didn't actually consciously know that he was being wise ass. He was incredibly stupid, and so I gave him, like, Bullwinkle Moose kind of, like, accent, where you kind of talk like this. And so that's literally the character that I played throughout this entire session when we were in Cholt. And so he had an armor class of 19 because of, like, his shell and a shield, and he would just kind of go around just casting stupid spells, animating plants, talking to them, using good berries, like, as if they were, like, crack rock. And, like, he would just go absolutely nuts. Like, I think he was inadvertently responsible for the death of, like, what was it? 9 or 10 characters that people had to make, because we had to make a bunch of back characters and stuff like that because it's Cholt, it's stupidly hard. There have been a lot of instances where Tongo has, like, gotten the party in trouble, and even himself, and he found, like, some of the most ridiculous ways of being able to get out of them. One of the instances was where he was actually getting chomped on by a T-Rex, and his head was stuck inside the T-Rex's mouth. And he was a summoner, for the most part. I think it was a druid, a Circle of Dreams. And so, like, he would provide healing and stuff like that for the party, which was really, really handy. Healer. So he kind of functioned like a cleric of anything. And while he's inside this T-Rex's mouth, he can't cast any spells to target anybody or to, help anybody out. And so the DM thought he got me. But what I did was, I asked him, can I summon velociraptors? And he said, you can only cast them where you can see them. And I responded, that's the point. And then the DM's eyes just widened. He was like, oh, you know what? I'm going to let this play out. And so what happened was, I summoned 8 velociraptors inside the throat of the T-Rex, and like of course they're thrashing around inside whatever because they're struggling to break free. So you got a whole bunch of these velociraptors clawing in the inside of this T-Rex's throat. You know, he's choking on them and whatever. Spits out Tongo, and it just dies like in like the next turn. It was absolutely ridiculous, such a funny experience. But then like as we went on, you know, the DM kept finding like interesting ways to try and kill off Tongo because he just, you know, everybody was getting sick of him because he was just so dumb. Like activating traps unintentionally, you know, failing dex saves because, you know, his dexterity is so damn low. And then, you know, it got to the point where the DM had killed so many of everybody else's characters off with all these stupid traps and all these encounters. He was like, you know what, I just give up. I'm just going to let this play through, whatever. So, Tongo, well, there was like this obstacle that we had to get through, and it was a giant propeller that would lead to the other side, whatever. Tongo, thinking that he's so smart, he's going to transform into a seagull and then fly through the propeller and come out just fine. He didn't. He took damage for that, and he wasn't at full health. So, but everybody's like, yeah, you know, let's just keep going. There was a trap at the very end of it that we had to figure out the combination for in order to be able to push through. And there was a black box, sort of like a steely gray, icy looking box, and then there was another box. I can't remember what it was. What we did was we opened the boxes, and inside of the boxes were a bunch of levers. Mm-hmm. Inside those levers, that you'd have to be inside the box, and then you'd have to twist the levers or whatever, and then it would cause like other buttons and levers to show up or whatever, and then you'd have to activate those. Tongo decides to go inside the big black box.
PRB.
It was a bad idea. You don't go into the big black box.
Yeah.
So he goes inside. He jumps inside. He's like, okay, yeah, everything's all just fine. Closes the box on himself, pulls the lever, whatever, and he's like, okay. And then they're like, hey, there's a lever here. Yep, go ahead, flip it. They flip it. Tongo takes 77 necrotic damage from it, and he had 76 health. Everybody thought he was going to survive it. Everybody thought he was... And I was like, well, I guess I'm dead, guys. And then the DM's like, oh, no, it's much worse than that. And I'm like, what? And he's like, that was a box of disintegration.
Oh.
And we were all like...
You're gone forever. Yeah. There's no resurrection
like,
from
oh
that,
my god,
buddy.
we killed him!
Yeah.
Everybody's like, yeah! We have ended Tongo! And everybody just burst out laughing. We were like, oh, this is amazing. Everybody was just crying, laughing. Like, the one guy was just red faced. He was laughing so hard he couldn't breathe. We were all like, let's take a break. Go out into the backyard and just, like, cook some burgers and hot dogs or whatever. That was a moment of celebration for everybody. We were like, finally, at last, we finished Tongo off. It was so damn funny. Oh, my God.
Oh, man.
Woo! Yep, I thought it was really funny. Everybody like, oh yeah, no, he can handle it. 77 damage. I'm like, no, I had 76 health. And they were like, oh my god, you're dead? And I'm like, yep. No, you're disintegrated. Open up the box and there's just nothing but like piles of ash and like what was left of his clothes. Oh wait, no, he didn't wear clothes. He was nude the whole time. I completely forgot. Yeah, because he's a turtle. He could just suck everything in, so that way he's appropriate. But yeah, oh my god, it was really, really funny. Holy crap.
Okay.
Good times.
So story number 3 for me is so I have been known to play not standard characters with people that DM with me, especially my brother. So in 3rd edition, 3.5 specifically, I played a monstrous class of a centaur.
Oh, that's a fun one to play. I love playing as a. Oh wait, no, I haven't played it personally, but we had a guy who likes playing as minotaurs. They're real fun.
No, centaur, not minotaur.
Oh yeah, centaur.
Yeah,
horse people. Yes.
Yes. So I played as a centaur druid. And most people take druids as healers, like you're saying, or
like shapeshifters, yeah.
Shapeshifters or companion.
Or stoners.
Or stoners, yeah. Or
yeah.
Or they really heavily rely on summoning in their companion and stuff. My companion was a fox. That fox did shit. It didn't do anything. I was a horseman. I didn't need that once.
The fox did shit. I was a horse.
Yeah.
So do you do like mocks? Do you do like mock fox hunts and stuff like that? You just summon the
No.
fox and you're like, I'm
It acted
send the
as a-
hounds out and start, go shooting around.
It had high perception and high stealth, so it was a scout.
Okay.
And yeah, so what it was, and it also lived in my saddlebag because I had a saddlebag because I was a horse. So, but I got made fun of. I got reamed by my friends for being a horse. They called me fat ass and everything because it's like, so what? So like we had to figure out things that normally like across a rope bridge. It's like I'm 2,500 pounds because I'm a horse. Like so we had to figure out challenges like that. But this character of anything was more of a caster druid, as in I was an offensive druid with druidic magic, and it was actually pretty powerful. And no one believed me; they just called me fat and all the time. So. To explain though, I may be overweight now, but I was super skinny in high school. Like I was not this way. This is college.
I seen your throwback pic.
Yeah, this is college. College and on is what happened to me here. But so it was just a funny joke to call me fat. But like we got into this fight with a pit fiend, right? And it's coming after us. I can't remember the reasoning, but we're like big demon, right?
Yeah. Pit Fiend is basically supposed to be a Balrog.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's that's bad.
So, I mean, we are equivalent level 15 at this time, so this isn't terrible.
Okay, so that's an appropriate fight then.
Right.
Okay.
But,
that's actually
it was still
decent.
going to be challenging, right? It was still going to be. We were still like, oh no, he caught up to us. So he caught up to us in this like open field, right? So we didn't have a lot of cover and that kind of stuff. And so I was like, okay, so what are we gonna do? So
You were a Dothraki in the open field.
Dothraki. Is that
It's a Game of Thrones.
Game of
Oh
Thrones.
yeah,
meme.
sorry. Yeah.
It's a Game of Thrones meme.
I actually made a Game of Thrones joke about my dog today because my dog likes to run outside. When my parents were leaving, they were like, "Hey, hold the dog so he doesn't get out." And I was like, "Hold the dog! Hold the dog!"
Oh no!
My dad's like, "Why does that sound familiar? Hold the door. Hold door.
In this case, it would be hot dog.
yeah, hot dog. I mean, she is a wiener dog.
Hot dog! Hot dog!
I'd show her off, but she's sleeping right there. Anyways,
I just got some coffee in my nose. Thank you.
sorry. So, anyway, so we're fighting this pit fiend, and it's going pretty well. I think my friend, I think I will say his name, Matt, because he's on the Magic podcast we do together, and we talk to him as Matt. Matt was like an archer and like an elven archer, sort of generic. They always like to play. Most of my friends like to play within the base things because, I mean, I've done that recently where I've gone less crazy because I'm tired of people doing broken things and doing like, if you do this, then you get this. Like, I just like, I just want to play D&D. Like, I want to play standard D&D and make an interesting character, which my next story will play off of that. But this one, I was a centaur. So we're fighting the pit fiend. It's my turn, and they're like, "Okay, so what are you gonna do, fat ass?" And I'm like, "Okay, I'm gonna cast a spell." And it was a new one for me at the time because it was in one of the newer rule books called Sudden Stalagmite.
Ooh!
And what it is you raise a spike up the ground. Well, it pierced the demon. Now here's the thing: they made fun of me for my ineptitude all the time, even though I did pretty well. Because everyone was out damaging me all the time. Because I was hampered from being a centaur, from a monstrous race, because monstrous races have to level up as the monstrous race until they can take their class levels. So, like, equivalent, I was only, like, level 15, I was probably only, like, a level 10 sorcerer. So, or wizard, druid, sorry. Druid, yeah. So I was behind on spell levels, too. So I finally got this, and the Sudden Stalagmite, which technically was a lower spell level than this demon could normally worry about, just right up through him, stabs him, and he's stuck. Now, the rules for this spell is if you're pierced on it, you can get out in 2 ways. An escape attempt or a strength. And if you do strength, you take slicing damage because you broke the tip off in yourself. So he proceeds escape attempts for 7 rounds. While we all stood at a distance and pelted him because the Pit Fiend had 0 access to his whip. Baylor's the other one with the whip. Pit Fiends are just the big bat-looking ones, the big fat ones. I got this flipped in my mind. So he couldn't do it. He had to be in melee to do it much. And he had some things, but like he couldn't do it. So every turn he's trying to struggle to get free and hurting himself in the process because he's pierced on a stalagmite. And he finally gets out on his last one. He does the strength check instead. He's like, I'm strong enough, I'm just going to do it. But he wanted to avoid hurting himself. Killed himself with the slicing damage of the strength check.
Nice.
And I looked around the table and I was like, who's the fat ass now? And they all said you. But yeah, but like I still totally wanted that fight when they were calling me underpowered all the time. So I was like, yeah. And that was the one thing about that druid is I like to use spells in different ways. I very much as a caster like being utilitarian on top of things. So like one of the things my brother, he didn't like it, but he was like, it makes sense. There's a spell that's like entangling roots. So a thing around you creates a bunch of roots that entangle things, right? But you and your allies can freely walk them on them. And we had lost a bridge, like a bridge had went out. So if I cast entangling roots on the edge, it's more than a 30 feet gap. It's a 30-foot gap, right? So my range is 30 feet on the spell. So did I just entangling roots to the other side of the ravine? And he was like, that's not how that spell works. I was like, would it reach there? He's like, yes. So that means there's roots there? He's like, yes. So we can walk across? And he's like, yes. So there was a lot of that with that centaur. So with that, we'll move on to story 4 for Pan. Ace, you said you're out. Morg, do you have more?
I'm thinking.
Well,
I think. Oh yeah, I do have one more. I got one more. It's a quick one.
Okay, so Pan, you're up. Number 4.
Okay, real quick before I launch into this story, Fortuan, I want to make sure that you read that comment I left in the planning channel.
I can't because of the stream.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, real quick, you're going to recognize parts of this story. Don't elaborate where you can because my husband's watching the stream.
Understood.
Okay. I'll explain the rest to you guys later.
I think I know what this is based on that disclaimer. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so you can find this is centered around a dungeon that I designed with the help of a couple of mutual friends of mine at Fortuan's. I call it the Vault of Malice, and basically, the Vault of Malice, long time ago, it was intended to. It was a prison for this like eldritch being. And basically there were like 9 sort of trials that a hero had to go through to prove that they were worthy of fighting the eldritch being. But as eons went on, nobody was actually worthy of fighting the eldritch being, and his sort of corrupting nature sort of twisted the trials into sort of more like just hateful things that are done to any hero that might come to try to slay the eldritch being. Mm. So, and because he's the eldritch being at the center of this prison, because his power comes from like the world beyond reality. Basically, I told the players, the trials you have to go through to get to that bad guy at the center of these trials. The effects are permanent and irrevocable, even except by wish. So things that you do here can only be revoked by wish, and I told them this because wish is the ultimate power in all of everything. in my setting. So anyways, so that's the sort of setup. One other thing to set up is that there's a recurring NPC in my games. His name is Lord Percival Brightblade. And I want you to imagine if Captain America was a blood elf. That's Lord Brightblade. He was a sidekick to one of the players at one point and became his personal bodyguard. But then that player became a god, so Brightblade just kind of sallies forth and does good for the sake of being a good guy.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really all there is to him. He's basically a cool, badass, awesome guy. Now, during the campaign that this event takes place in, Lord Brightblade's daughter, Ty, basically she wanted to be a rebellious, edgy teenager, 30-year-old elf, and ran off with these adventures, and she's been hanging out with them. So they decide they for various reasons they need to go and destroy the Eldritch Abomination that lies at the center of the Vault of Malice. So so Ty says, "Oh, my father, he should know a bit about this. So let's go speak with him." And over a shaky glass of whiskey, Lord Brightblade, he recounts this harrowing tale of how he faced many trials in there, but and for some reason he can't remember the exact nature of the one that scared him away. But there was a trial he couldn't bear to face, and so he hung his head in shame and retreated in defeat, knowing that everything he had sacrificed so far was just gone forever. So that kind of sobered them up a bit, and that prepared them for what was ahead. So, and I've actually got my Reddit post on this dungeon pulled up, so that way I don't get the gates wrong.
Mm.
Okay, so the very first gate they get to, it's just outside the entrance to the dungeon, and it says, emblazoned above the gate of material wealth. Whosoever passes this gate must make a sacrifice of their material wealth. So the players, they all look at each other and they're like, well, it's just money. Sure. So they all discuss this. Now, one of the players, whoever's doing that...
Ace, stop it! You're breathing into the mic and we can hear you.
Yeah. There you go. Okay. So they...
I can't. Oh my god.
Okay.
I'm trying to
So
adjust for headache. Sorry.
one of the characters, he is a forge cleric, and he's a very vain character, and he's a forge cleric, so he has this basically solid gold armor. He's very upset about having to go through this gate because he's pretty sure his armor will just dissolve to pieces. And he is correct.
Mm.
But they spent about 30 minutes debating on how to deal with this. But they're like, oh, whatever, you know what? We're going to get so well rewarded by defeating this abomination. Fuck it, let's go. So they pass through the gate, and all the gold and silver in their inventory just disappears. It's gone. So that's sad, but they get through it, and they get to the next gate called the Gate of the Past. Whosoever would open this gate must recite a great deed that they have accomplished. And they're like, crap. She's going to undo something. So they recite the day that they freed the slaves of Chaintown off in the Pirate Isles and rescued this one princess. And so they recite that, and then, basically time and reality twist before them, and they are the only ones who remember that happened because it is complete. That act is undone.
Mm.
And
oh no!
So that princess was never rescued from the Pirate Isles. In fact, she ended up rescuing herself and became an evil pirate lord.
Nice.
But that's
great!
That's a story for another day. You might have heard me mention Liang Jean Silver, the Silver Dragon pirate. He is her son.
Leon John Silver.
Nice.
Oh my God!
Yeah,
Yes.
Liang Shan, the Silver Dragonborn, is her son and Prince of the Pirate Isles right now. So they get through that gate, and they're pretty upset about that. And they go to the next gate, and this gate is called the Gate of the Second Death.
Mm.
And that is referencing this sort of idea that you don't truly die until the last time someone utters your name.
Mm-hmm.
So that is called the Second Death. So Whosoever would open this gate will die the second death at the moment of their first death.
Ooh.
And so they argue about that for a bit, and the bard says, all right, I'll do it. Which is actually pretty insane because he's a bard.
Yeah. Yeah.
But he does it. He does it. So they go through, and they get to the next gate. Whosoever would open this gate must speak the name of someone cherished and beloved.
No.
Oh man, oh my god, you're
Yeah.
evil!
Well, that's the point. That's the point.
Mm-hmm.
And while they're debating this, they look around and they realize that there's an exit. They can just walk right out and they're free to go. But while they're discussing this, they see propped up against the wall, there's a skeleton in paladin's armor. And they go over to it and they begin examining it. And it's very, very exquisite, expensive, top of the line elven armor.
Mm-hmm.
And they do a few more checks, and they figure out this skeleton is obviously an elven skeleton. Impossible to tell if male or female because elves are very gender fluid.
Mm-hmm.
But they recognize, like, Ty goes white as a sheet, and I mean she's a blood elf, so she's orange. But she goes white as a sheet because she recognizes the device on this skeleton shield is her family crest. And she's like, I don't know who this could be. They all look at each other and they're like, who is this? They don't know who this is, but he's clearly a deceased member of the Brightblade family.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're like, okay, well, back to the gate. So they stuff the body in the bag of holding because they're going to properly bury him at the Brightblade estate later. I say him. It is a male character. So they go back to the gate, and this ghost apparates. He says, "Who are you?" And they're like, "Who are? Beware, for this whosoever you condemn with your words cannot be brought back even by means of wish." And then they're like, "Oh shit! Oh shit! Well, who are you?" "I do not know my name. It has been It was forgotten by all at the moment of my death."
Second death.
"I came in here with my brother long, long ago. I suppose he failed if you were here." And Brightblade did not mention at all going in with someone else.
Mm-hmm.
So they're like, oh shit. He said his brother's name. So they put that together. So they debate for a while, and they eventually decide, they're going to kill. One of the characters has a grandpa. And he has actually been like an NPC that has recurred several times. So they kill off grandpa.
Oh, rough.
Yeah. And he's actually, the player who killed off grandpa, he's actually like, guys, I don't give a fuck what we have to sacrifice next. I'm done. I just killed my grandpa, and there's no fucking way I'm letting any of you guys walk out of here alive because if you decide to leave.
Mm-hmm.
Like he is bought in. We are in now. We are not going back. So they get to the next gate. This is the gate of life. Whosoever would open this gate must forswear the gift of the gods of life. They try to think about this and interpret it. They do a couple of checks because they're not really actually sure what this means. So I let them do a few checks. And through basically religion and arcana checks, they realize that basically whoever opens this gate is not going to have children. And so
okay.
Yeah, so the party paladin, he's like, all right, well, you know what? It's my family line has sworn to eliminate this eldritch being, and I'm the last of my line, and goddamn it, we are killing this eldritch being because I'm going to be the last of the line apparently. So he forswears the gift of the gods of life, and they open the gate and go through the door. And then they get to the gate of future. Whosoever would cross this gate must forswear their future success.
Oh.
Or sorry, whosoever would open this gate, not cross this gate. There's a difference there. Whosoever would open this gate. So this one guy's like, hey, I haven't opened any of the gates. I'll do it. So I forswear a future success. So I give him a nat 1 chip. At some point, at my discretion, whatever his role is, it is a nat 1.
Okay.
Vicious.
Okay. This one is so they get to the gate of body. Whosoever would the gate of innocence. My bad. The gate of innocence. Whosoever would open this gate may do so by speaking the name of an innocent person.
Blinky.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're like, oh shit, we have to kill somebody like innocent and unrelated to this. And they realize they're at the 7th gate, and this is where Brightblade stopped. This is the one that like got Brightblade and where he couldn't open the gate. So they discuss it for a bit, and they decide, well, they do have a pet parrot that they used the spell Awaken on a while ago. He is their parrot. His name is Bobo, and he like does their taxes for them.
Not Bobo! Not Bobo, the accountant!
So Bobo the accountant cockatoo.
Mm-hmm.
So they utter the name of Bobo, and Bobo dies, and the gate opens. So then they get to the gate of the body. Whosoever would open this gate must make a sacrifice of their own flesh.
Mm.
And the effect. So somebody's like, "All right, fuck it, I'll do it." So he opens the gate, and his hit points are permanently reset to the lowest possible he can have.
Mm.
This is sad. This is a sad day indeed.
That's a lot of sacrifice to get to.
There's two more gates. There's 2 more gates, and here's the meat and bones. They get to the gate of death. Whosoever would open this gate must forswear the gift of the gods of death.
Oh no.
So they probably don't have an afterlife.
Worse. The bard, who, by the way, he's already sworn, the day he dies is the day that his the day that his name is uttered the last time. So he decides, fuck it, I'll forswear the gift of death. And they go through, they don't know what they're like, whatever that means. So he forswears the gift of death, and he goes through the gate. And on the other side of this gate, there is an individual who we later on affectionately called Sir Pancake.
Mm-hmm.
Sir Pancake has been crushed. Sir Pancake is pinned under a rock, apparently alive, but although like there is a boulder on his chest, but he is like able to look around and talk and everything. And he talks to them. He tells them how he came in here with his party, and there was an earthquake because this vault is on an active volcano. There was an earthquake, and this boulder fell on him, and he has been trapped here for eons since. Like, he doesn't even know how long ago that was. And he was the one who opened the last gate. So
so he's immortal.
He cannot be killed. He cannot die. They get the boulder off of him, and whatever is like left of him is just a smear of meat. And there's nothing much left below about his sternum. So they're like, well, can't just leave him in here. So they kind of stuff him in the bag of holding with the bones of Brightblade's brother.
Mm-hmm.
Is his body able to be mended?
They get to that later.
Oh, because I'm worried about this guy having a squash pee-pee for the rest of his life.
Well, I mean, he's got bigger problems because he's basically a sternum and up. I'm not even really sure how he talks because he doesn't have lungs, but, whatever.
Hey, I didn't question the talking head in God of War.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, he's a god. I mean,
yeah, he's a god.
Norse mythology,
In God of War, that is not a god. That is just a dude. He was the smartest man alive. He was not.
He probably knew some sort of weird magic mumbo jumbo shtick that probably made it so that he could.
There's always going to be some level of disbelief.
So, they get to... Sorry, there's a few more gates than I thought. They get to the next gate, the gate of mind. Whosoever would open this gate must make a sacrifice of their mind.
Oh,
And they all look at each
no.
other and they're like, "Oh fuck, we're not sacrificing our sanity. Fuck that, no way." And the guy who killed his grandpa is like, "Er." So they think about it, and they debate for like 20 minutes who's going to do this, and then they all like a light bulb just appears above all their heads, and
Mr. Pancake.
they pull Sir Pancake out, and they're like, "All right, if you want out of here, you have to open this gate."
Yeah.
So they convince
Mr.
Sir Pancake. They convince Sir Pancake that they'll get him home and heal him, but he's going to open this gate for them. So he opens the gate and he becomes a gibbering, writhing mass of flesh because he's insane now. His mind is gone.
Oh, great.
And so he just begins screaming because he has laid in pain for thousands of years, and now his whatever was left of his sanity is.
Gag him and
So
put him in the bag.
And then they put him back in the bag.
Yeah.
Skeleton. And then they get to the gate of they can't tell anymore because I guess that earthquake smashed the name of
Oh,
the gate.
that's rough, man.
Oh, yay. A mystery sign. Who
But it
knows
says-
what misfortune will come to these people?
The quote above the door says, "Your sacrifices are in vain. You have been judged and found wanting. Turn back and face what you have lost."
Oh no.
Ooh.
You troll, you! Oh my god! It's a trick! It is totally 100% a trick!
Yeah. All right. They're like, yeah, no, they all just like take a second. They all look at each other like, no, and they just go through it anyways.
Yeah.
And then they get to the actual vault and have to fight this eldritch abomination.
Well
Jeez.
done.
Yeah, it was brutal. It was brutal. Like people almost came to blows over some of the like decisions of who was going to sacrifice who, because like these characters they had. This was one of the like final dungeons I ran for this campaign. They'd been playing these characters for like a year and a half.
Yeah, that's rough. That's got to be what? That was probably your third campaign then?
Yes, this was near the end of campaign 3, so about a year and a half ago now.
I'm
is when
figuring
this was
out the
done.
timeline. You can see all the math on the screen.
Yeah, yeah. This was near the end, and the wonderful beauty of it is so they also found like an NPC in there who's become a recurring NPC, King Roland, who was the ancient king of this. The island they're on is like an ancient elven homeland place, and he's like the last of the first elves or whatever.
I like that.
So they find like the mythical King Roland of Santini in there, and he helps them fight the Eldritch Abomination.
Wow.
That's awesome.
Bravo.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And at any point they were free. They were free to like go out the exit, and that gate was called the Gate of Mercy. Whosoever passes through this gate will find release from the burden of knowledge. And basically, if you go through this, you don't remember what you sacrificed.
Oof. That's
Your sacrifice remains.
Yeah, I was like, that's almost worse.
Yeah, but that's why like Brightblade's memory got hazy, and that's why he like absolutely doesn't even remember that he ever had a brother. Like they bring the corpse back. They bring the corpse back to Brightblade Estate, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I guess in the record books there was a Tristane," and he's like just mystified because he completely doesn't ever remember his brother. But they bury him and everything.
That is very unfortunate.
So yeah, that was the Vault of Malice.
So what happens if you're the second death guy, right? What happens if your name is written down somewhere? Does it get erased?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like Brightblade found Tristane's name in the genealogy
Just didn't
book.
know what he was. Yeah.
But yeah, he just like had no comprehension. Like he was just unable to understand.
Okay, so it doesn't get rid of any record.
No.
But
No, but he was just like, well, I guess I had a brother. Odd that I don't remember him. I mean, he was only 3 years older than me. That's awful close in age for elves.
this might be picking at a thorn in your side lately, but it's almost like when Elsa lost her memories.
Oh yeah. Anna lost her memories, not Elsa.
Anna, you're right. Anna. Sorry. Yes.
Context: my son has been watching Frozen nonstop.
Hey,
I wanna build a snowman.
I'm in a Minecraft and Roblox hell.
I know you don't.
Let it go, let it go.
Hey, when I was with the wife,
I'd rather hear the term Sub-Zero.
her and the kids were singing that all the time. All right.
Yeah.
Morg, number 4.
This one's gonna be my. No, actually, no. Yeah. Okay. I gotta pick very carefully. Okay. Do you guys want to hear about Ivelios Dundragon, or do you want to hear about Jack Daniels? It's your pick.
Ivelios Dundragon, because I want to make you say that name over and over.
It is a great name, Ivelios Dundragon. Okay, so I decided I was going to play as a half-elf warlock. And this is my first time actually playing as a serious character. And he's very power-hungry. He's a little bit evil. He's lawful evil. He does whatever he needs to in order to be able to get access to the power that he needs in order to be... He, I believe, was a warlock for a great old one. So, like, he's in service to, I think it was Azathoth. But, you know, what happened was he did, like a ritual from, like, an old family book, because apparently he came from a long line of, like, these weird elves that aren't even, like, native to the world that they live in, and they wanted to bury their past. And so, this was, like, their ancient ancestors. And they decided, you know, to keep that information locked away or whatever, and he was a curious mind. He wanted to learn about his background and stuff like that, and so he found like this old eldritch book. It's kind of like a Necronomicon of sorts or whatever. Opens it up, does a ritual, and then he just enters into an ethereal, or at least the outside, the real world. Because when in the sense of H.P. Lovecraft, we're all just like a dream aspect of like this one giant eldritch entity, like this supernaturally omnipotent super god thing that just dreams reality. Right. And that's what we live in. And so he was able to project himself out of the dream, and he perceived the sleeping the Daemon Sultan, I think he's called. Mm-hmm. He accidentally caused it to stir a little bit, and it created a whole bunch of chaos and havoc, having like this all being whatever just kind of almost suddenly just almost wake up a little bit from the dream. And so everything that happened in his kingdom, it was all just thrown into chaos.
Right.
And so he managed to escape, but he also attained some power from it too, because he's an avatar in the dream that became self-aware of himself and the aspects of reality just being a dream, and so he got power from it. So we were doing Curse of Strahd, and we were constantly getting taunted by the freaking vampire, and I believe there was a part where the vampire actually pulls him off to the side or whatever, and he's like, "I sense great power and evil in you. You know things that others don't. Maybe we could join together and become allies or whatever." And Ivelios is like, "Well, what am I going to get out of this deal? It doesn't matter anyways to me. None of this is real. I just want to do my thing and just become more powerful." And so
it is such a
later on, yeah. But anyways, later on the line, he's like, "I'll think about it." And so then later on, we rescued I think it was a werewolf cub or whatever, and then Ivelios looks at this and he's like, what would happen if I became a werewolf? And so he's like trying to egg on this little werewolf cub thing to try and bite him, sneakily. But the problem is that we've got like this freaking paladin on our team that is like all about like, evil is heresy, destroy all evil and stuff like that, whatever. And so like he's trying to spend all of his time trying to kill the freaking werewolf, whatever, because everything happening in...
I just have a question for the DM of this session, who apparently had never had a puppy, because like it takes you turn your back for like half a second, the puppy's gnawing on your arm.
Well, I mean, it was terrified, and the fact that we had a full party with, I think it was a paladin, a cleric, the warlock, And then there were some other players. I can't remember where they were, but I remember two of them dropped out, and then we added another one.
Yeah.
Anyways, and so and then we got to the point where the cleric was cleric. I think he was one of Mercy or something like that, whatever. And then he's like trying to stave off the freaking paladin from chopping this werewolf cub to pieces, and he's also like pointing at the warlock, going, "No, you're not getting bitten. You're not turning into a werewolf on my watch." It's just like, you transform into a werewolf, I'll kill you. And so so then we take it back to its pack or whatever, and then we did like a negotiation of like terms of where it's like, hey, we'll give you this cub back or whatever, and then we'll deal with Strahd. If you just leave the people of this particular village alone and you just go live your life doing whatever you want.
Right.
But then what happens is the cleric, because he runs an orphanage, he notices that there's a whole bunch of like these abducted children that the werewolves were going to try and bring into the fold as candidates to become new pack members. And so they had this system where only the strongest one would survive. So then they'd have like these kids into like this death pit battle royale thing, whatever, where like the one that remains, gets to whatever. Evelios, he opens his mouth and he's like, well, isn't it pretty obvious which one is the strongest of them? Do you have to go around killing all the children in order to be able to benefit from this or whatever? And they're like, you have a very good point. And so then what Evelios does is he goes over to the clerk. He's like, shh, I got this. What happens if you decide spare the lives of the weaker ones. They make for good prey. You can devour them, whatever. At your, to the mighty wolf. But we will offer you the right to just take the strongest one of the group and make him a werewolf. There's no losses here, really. Whatever. And the cleric and the are you serious? Whatever. You're just gonna the life of that that child, and then getting ready for a big fight, whatever. And I'm like, and then the warlock's like, we're not gonna win this fight. No, there's no point. Everything that people are doing is completely meaningless. There's no point to it at all. It's very obvious. He's obviously the strongest of the kids, whatever. You might as well take him into your pack. Let the other ones go. You can hunt them another day, whatever. It doesn't matter. And there's the cleric like, I see what you're trying to do, but it's so bad or whatever. Right. And then, and so then, he has it, and he's like, okay. And they're like, yeah, sure, deal, whatever. And so then, the warlock has the cleric take the kids out, whatever, and he's like, get them back to their families or whatever. I'll just make sure that everybody's, that the gate's covered, that we're safe getting out of here, that they don't try anything funny. And of course the cleric's like, oh no, I don't trust you, whatever, pulls the kids out. And of course the paladin's not gonna leave you. No, I know what you're trying to do. You're trying to become a werewolf too, and I know for a fact you're not going to do this. And it actually got into like this really funny 30-minute debate of us just staying in character in front of these werewolves, where the warlock is trying to ask them to see if he can actually get the powers that they have to offer as werewolves. And then there's the paladin who's like, oh, no, do they get into this back and forth thing. Meanwhile, the werewolves are just sitting there going, they're just so weird,
Like, what are we doing here? Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, kind of like, what are you come into our home and then you start bitching and complaining like some old married couple, like, like, what are you doing, kind of thing. It was really, and so the DM is like just absolutely amused by this, and so then what happens? He's like, okay, I'll give you a break. If you can somehow convince the werewolves with this persuasion check to be able to turn you into a werewolf, they'll turn you into a werewolf, whatever. But of course, this doesn't bode well for the paladin, because we all know that the paladin, I think it was like level 5 or something like that. Maybe it was, I think it was level 5 or something like that. He wasn't going to be able to stand a chance if the warlock was going to team a bunch of werewolves, and so it was going to be two birds with one stone. I rolled for persuasion, and I failed. I just just a few points off, and they were like, "No, sorry, we already have what we need," stuff like that. And I was like, "Damn what? And whatever. Urgh! And of course, his paladin, you don't have to become a werewolf. And of course, paladin doesn't turning into because he uses radiant magic anyway, so he's perfect for vampire. And yeah, so what happens is, as a, in an effort for trying, and because it was hilarious having us arguing for a half an hour in character, as we're supposed to do, the DM decides, you know what, I'm going to give you a little treat because, you know what, that was very entertaining for me. I'm going to give you this necklace of red beads, and each one of these beads is able to cast fire spell at the lowest level. Fireball at the lowest level. So...
Necklace of Fireball, yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing. I love it. When we got to Strahd, I had the necklace, and I think it was Strahd and I believe 3 of his harem in his room. It only took us 2 turns to kill Strahd and all of his concubines or whatever. Threw all the red beads out.
Yeah.
The whole necklace.
Nice.
Boom!
Okay.
And I believe we also smited him. And I believe also the smited him and then used the branding smite or something like that. I can't remember. And of course, Strahd is able to turn invisible. But we have also this sword that produces nothing but sunlight within, I think it was a 20-foot radius. And we're in a tiny room. And so this freaking vampire is smoking. And I'm like... But he's smoldering.
Hey,
even if he's invisible, he's still producing smoke. And
50
feet
away from any building is the law here in Ohio. 50 feet.
Yeah.
No smoking.
Yeah. No smoking indoors. And so I was like, Jim. And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, is he burning? And he's like, oh. And then yeah, you can see that even though despite he's invisible, he's also pluming with smoke because he's burning from the inside out. And so we're all like, there he is! Strahd like, oh no! I can't escape! Just boom, 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 boom! 2 turns, he was dead. And the GM was like, he just got off the table and was like, oh...
All that
under the stairs, just rocking back and forth like, what have I done? I gave him the fireball necklace. And we were all laughing at the table. And then some people they left to go to the bathroom and get a sandwich or whatever, and they come back and they're like, "What happened?" And we were like, "Oh, we killed him." And then they were like, "What?" And we were like, "Yeah, it only took us 2 turns." And I'm just like, "Oh no." Oh, it was hilarious.
Oh,
the part where we had to deal with this stupid goat, though, that was really frustrating. I was so pissed off that I was not able to turn into a werewolf, and then some guy was dropped to 0 health because of some freaking like legendary goat that we had to fight or whatever. It was insane. It was. Hey. I was like, what the fuck? Like, what is this? Like, I was like, you know what? I'm out of here. I'm getting out of this, and then whatever. And everybody, hey, calm down. And I'm like, no, I don't get to turn into a werewolf. He's getting fucked by this goat. I want nothing to do with this session anymore. And everybody's like,
a plug for an amazing YouTube channel Tier Zoo. He explains why goats are amazing. Like,
goats are top tier.
Oh man, goats! You don't mess with a goat headbutt. You don't mess with a goat headbutt. Yeah, you don't. It showed there was footage of a goat headbutting. What was it, like a water buffalo or something like that, and the goat
and they
wins.
both knock each other out.
No, the goat wins.
The goat knocked out the
yeah, because
oh my god, it's been a million years since I saw that Tier Zoo video.
Yeah, it's insane. It's like, what? Oh man. Anyways,
yeah, it was so funny.
So what I think we're gonna do, just sort of cut down on time. Pan, I'm gonna do my last one, and we're just gonna end with your last story, and we'll cut it off from there. Sorry, Morg. I had one
it's okay.
Too,
it's okay.
But I'm just gonna pick the better of the 2. So I've talked about this character a couple times, and I've explained him, which is Nil, which is Link backwards. It was in the Nintendoom campaign, where. My brother, the genius that he is, he's an amazing DM. I think he's better than me at a DM because he actually enjoys doing it. Whereas, I tolerate it. He created this dungeon that, like, you had to get through 8 trials, 8 dungeons to sort of open this gate that was supposed to be kind of like, I think of like Borderlands, like, the vault or whatever.
Yeah.
Also, spoilers, it was a trick. It was actually a gate to the Abyss, and it let the Abyss into the mortal plane. So that was fun.
Oh no!
As you do.
Yeah. So we had the moral conundrum of succeeding, spoilers, eventually, and unleashing basically an army of demons upon the world. And so anyways, I'm playing Nil, who is a lawful good ranger, who is modeled after Link. Now, unfortunately, it is a mirror image of Link. It is not Link, so I am not silent. I have my priority stat was charisma. This is a 5th edition base ranger. All right. So let's talk for a second here. Let's take this into account. Everyone says rangers shit, right? I don't care. I make a character and then I pick the class and race. So like the fact that, I talked a little bit before about being base race and class kind of like being my sort of thing right now. So I made Nil, and I got to do so many. This is literally my coolest character I ever made. He had an 8 in intelligence, but he had a 22 in dex, an 18 in strength, and an 18 in charisma. And
my god!
But he had only 8 intelligence. Now we do rolls. We don't do stat allocation. So that was part of that.
Is it roll 4 and take the top 3?
Yes, but we also got a bonus. That's how I got 22 dex. So we got to draw random cards, and whatever card you drew, you got a +2 to that stat from the start. And it superseded any of the stat caps that the book set. So we were playing a high power campaign, and my brother likes to do that. So yeah, he had a lot of good stats. So long story short, we're through a lot of dungeons. We did a Pikmin one, we did a Mario, Metroid, Star Fox even. We actually got to fly starships and shoot things down for one of them. Figuring out what they were was kind of a problem with our medieval D&D brains, but like, hey, there you go. Now, we did, it was the Zelda one, actually, where we had to fight, if you guys remember from Ocarina of Time, there's the Lizalfos fight on the pillars with all the Lizalfos jumping around.
I love that part. I love fighting those guys.
So we had to do the Lizalfos fight, and I'm Link, right? I don't metagame, obviously, so I don't know what these are. I'm just the elf ranger from the forest who is really talkative and stuff. But I do use a shield, and I do use sword and a bow. So we also have to deal with the lava and do jump checks in between. And I was like, I have a shield of fire immunity, right? He's like, yes. I am going to jump and surf on the shield.
Oh, I like this.
So he's like, okay, so do a dex check. Easy peasy. Did the dex check. So I was surfing on the waves of the lava between the pillars, hacking down the Lizalfos with my sword as I go, and shooting and stuff. Like some sort of like freaking super powered.
Oh my god, it's like Tahu from Bionicle. You can like just surf on the lava.
It was amazing. So it was the thing is, like, we all knew going into this, well, even when we're creating characters, this is the same play group that I hated playing with. Because they all did like net deck, like net build characters, warlocks, like meme builds from like D&D online stuff, like whatever. And I was the only one that took the Nintendo theme into account, and of course I put my own twist on it just because I like to.
How hard would it have been to be like Mario the Fire Sorcerer?
Yeah, I don't know. Or even Mario the Barbarian.
Oh, Mario the Pyromancer.
Yeah, you could have been a Pyromancer Mario, or you could have gone the Barbarian route with a giant hammer. Like, there's so many ways to do Mario. And
you could have been a team of Mario.
You could have been a Princess Peach. Like, you could have...
You could have been Luigi the Necromancer.
Yes! With his vacuum.
Oh shit, I want to be Luigi the Necromancer now.
So
I feel
I
like
don't know.
Luigi would probably be a cleric because he hates ghosts.
Yeah, maybe he's a cleric and he banes them away with his vacuum of turning. So
Yeah.
so I loved that campaign, but I was the only one that really embraced it. But like that's kind of my story is that I got to be Link who rode on like surf waves of lava. Now there was
That
one
is so
time,
cool.
there was one time I did play to my intelligence as well. So I actually managed to solve a puzzle and get up like a wind tunnel in one of the other dungeons. I don't remember which game it was. But I got to a 300-foot tower top to get the item for the key for the dungeon. So it was all based on Zelda keys too. All the dungeons had silver and gold keys you had to get through doors. So he's like, okay, so how do you get down? There's wind, right? Yes. Swan dive. The wind will stop me. It didn't stop me. I was within 1 point of death from fall damage. So he's like, you broke your neck.
No.
Fuck you, Grim Reaper!
So there's that too. Pan, you go ahead and continue your story. I'll be right back.
All right. So this is my favorite D&D story. And in my opinion, this I have not topped this, and I'm not sure that I will. I'm not sure that I want to top this story because it was a beautiful, wonderful, amazing night. So the party involved here, they are the same. They're the exact same players from both the Dagger Lock story I told earlier, and hang on, one other story. I have to go back to my notes. The Death Scythe. In fact, this is actually the very next adventure after they did the Death Scythe. So we have a half demon bard. He's the Emperor's bastard son. He's half demon. We have a human necromancer. We have a gnome wizard, and we have a half elf multi-classer, is what we called him, because he didn't actually have majority in any one class. He had like 4 classes.
Right.
So yeah, we had the bard, the necromancer, the generic wizard, and the multi-classer. And the bard, he wanted to make a bard. He heard this story told by Spoony, who but he's a YouTuber who doesn't really do anything anymore, but he used to have a show where he told his tabletop RPG stories. Yeah. And he had this tabletop RPG story about how being a bard in Advanced Dungeons and Dragons, which it's a bitch and a half to be a bard in Advanced Dungeons and Dragons. Right. I won't dive too much into that. I won't dive too much into it, but basically you have to take 4 levels in Fighter, and then you have to take 4 or 5 levels in Rogue, and then you have to befriend the Druids and take a few levels in Druid, and then you have to find a Master Bard who will teach you the ancient ways, and then you can start taking levels in Bard. Like that's
oh my god!
Yeah, there used to be some hefty requirements to a lot of things.
Yeah. So, but Bard was like a broken ass class, like completely. It's somewhat broken now, but it was like absolutely broken back then. So, anyways, this player, he decides on his second character he wants to be a bard, and he's going to be a bard of the old ways. So his character actually is like 5 levels fighter, so many levels rogue, etc., etc. Mm-hmm. And he has gotten to the point where he needs to find a master bard. So I knew this was coming down the line, so I actually type up a letter in Wingdings and print it out and give it to him. The player is my husband, so I gave it to him like a week before the game, and he had to like translate it and stuff. And he figures out that it's a letter from the bard, from someone who calls himself the Bard Prince Orpheus, and he has personally invited Rex the 20th to come to his island home to learn the old ways. Oh. So immediately after they do the Death Scythe adventure and they solve the plague in the city, they set sail for the Bard Prince's island home. They go through a couple of small adventures on the island before they finally meet this kindly old man who says he knows the way, but we have to go through this treacherous forest and we'll get there. And he starts like bullshitting them and like leading them down the wrong way and stuff. And they're like, all right, so when's he gonna reveal he's the Bard Prince, Chelsea? When's he gonna tell us he's the Bard Prince? I'm like, oh, fuck you guys. Let me have some fun. Suddenly the old man whirls on you, and he has cast away the glamour that disguised his true form, and you see a fair youth worthy of Greek art standing before you and holding a glittering sword with a flowing red mane that seems to just float behind him despite the fact that there is no wind here.
Mm-hmm.
And he says, "Ha! The trial of the fighter begins now. Have at thee!" And he attacks the bard player. Bard player's, well, I pull out my bow and shoot him. He's 20 feet away, right? I'm like, oh, crap. So he pulls out his bow and, like, shoots him. And he's got actually a pretty legendary bow. The players are in the middle of collecting the 5 weapons of the gods, which is based on the Theros stuff, by the way.
Mm.
Ooh.
Nylea's bow.
Yes, so he has Nylea's bow,
Mm-hmm.
which is basically a plus. It's if you have the Dungeon Master's Guide, it's the Oath Bow.
Oh, okay. I was like, if it's based on the magic card, it has Death Touch, so...
No, I don't think the card was actually out at the time I came up with this.
Oh, okay, sure.
So
Okay.
it's an Oath Bow. So he shoots the ever-loving stuffing out of the Bard Prince, and he's got several holes in his chest now with arrows sticking out, and he's like, well, perhaps you are a bard. I see you're... Hang on. No, you didn't hear the punchline.
Okay.
He looks down at the arrows in his chest and he says, perhaps you are a bard. Your skills at penetration are legendary.
Oh my god.
Oh boy, I am not a fan of the whole bards are all sexual deviants.
Well, this bard was, because you remember
Yeah.
his mother was a succubus.
That I do remember. Yes, I do. If you
So is he
erase it,
technically a
fine.
tiefling or a cambion?
Yes, we actually use tiefling stats.
Okay.
We use tiefling stats. His mother was a succubus, his father was a dragonborn, but whatever, succubus can breed with whatever it wishes.
Yeah.
Okay. So he kind of limps his way through the forest and leads them to his mansion, and he's like, all right, my servants will attend to you. I must recover from my wounds.
Mm-hmm.
So they go off with the servants for a while, and so basically my plan was to sort of set my players up to encounter this strange being who basically my vision of him was David Bowie from Labyrinth.
Oh my god,
Okay.
Yeah.
this is so epic.
So that was my sort of headcanon what he was like. And he was going to put the bard player through like through trials based on the different classes you have to take to be a bard in AD&D. So the trial of the fighter is over. He kicked the shit out of Orpheus in a fight.
Mm-hmm.
So the next trial. So he's patched up, and they go out back, and he's sitting in his like hot tub, and he's like, all right. So, and he's like holding a glass of wine. And he says, "My birthday party is in 3 days from now. You have 3 days to steal from me that which is most precious, and give it to me as a present. And of course, I can't know what you've stolen or that you've stolen it." And again, I was basically trying to put my players into an impossible situation and see what they did with it.
Who do you
So,
think they are? Fucking Amazon?
hang
Come
on.
on.
So,
I don't get that.
basically, Amazon is in, like, they deliver presents.
Oh, okay. I was like, what does Amazon have to do with stealing the most
Yeah.
precious thing? I don't...
Yeah.
He's like, I would like to make a request for my birthday, that which is most precious, but you cannot tell me what it is, or no.
Okay.
Guys,
Say
no,
when it's
no,
going to be delivered. I want to
It's some
Hi.
I've never actually read The Witcher before now, but it's like some like Witcher Law of Surprise bullshit. Okay. But I actually hadn't read The Witcher when I came up with this. But so they decide, okay, we're gonna split forces. So the bard player, he actually is like, no, I want to spend the next couple of days just hanging out with Orpheus and playing music and jamming with him and whatever else bards do when they're alone together.
Oh no.
Guys, I'll keep him distracted while you ransack his house. So the two bards, they go off and do whatever it is bards do when they're alone.
Mm-hmm.
And Orpheus is what I say is thoroughly distracted by the presence of the other bard, and he was like, okay, every once in a while I have him do like rolls to see like performance roll to see how you're doing as far as like jamming together, and persuasion roll to see what he thinks of what you just said, or what if he thinks you're funny or cute or whatever. So every once in a while I have him do a roll, and he's like acing it, like I don't know, he's on fire, like perfect rolls all across the board. Meanwhile, the players, they basically start questioning the staff and digging through all his stuff, and they spend a while, and I put a couple of red herrings in here. They find a golden fiddle with the seal of Mephistopheles upon it. They speak with the aged chef, who she's a member of his staff, and she's got this secret cookie recipe. And they find this old musical teddy bear and a couple other things like that. They find out a few details about him. They find out that Orpheus is actually kind of unimaginably old. He predates the first of the elves.
That's really old.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so he predates the first elves, and they find like a recurring theme throughout the decor of this mansion is that he's apparently obsessed with the North Star, which in my setting, the North Star is a name that's sort of synonymous with Corellin Larethian.
Mm-hmm.
For the uninitiated, Corellin Larethian is the chief god of elves. So they ask him about that. Like, who is the North Star? And he says, he was a dear friend that I knew when I was young in the glory days of youth. And they're like, they ask him other things about his past, and he's very sad about it, and he's kind of wistful and doesn't really like to elaborate. He's very nostalgic for the days of when he was young, and he traveled about with his friends, and they had many adventures and got into all sorts of scrapes, and unfortunately, every one of them has moved on without me. So that's very sad for them. So they eventually get a chance to break into Orpheus's bedroom, and they find this big oak desk with party invites, and there's a list of like guests, and the necromancer actually finds it, and he's actually very well versed in religion, oddly enough, and he realizes that every single name on this list is a synonym for a major deity.
Mm-hmm.
And then he sees these two letters sitting on the desk that have not been sent out. Currently going on in this setting, there is a war going between the Dragonborn Empire and the Confederation of Elven States. So basically, the elves and Dragonborn are at war. So there's two unsent letters, and one is the North Star, and then the other one is the North Wind. King of the North Wind is a title often given to Bahamut, and like I said, North Star is synonymous with Corellin Larethian because the North Star guides you, and Corellin Larethian is the god of rangers. So that's where I went with that.
Mm-hmm.
So they're like, fuck it. You know what? He didn't have the guts to invite both of them. We're going to invite both of them.
Right.
So they steal the invites and send them off. Yeah. And then the multiclasser, he's actually taken a couple levels in cleric, and he's like, you know what? Fuck it. I'll sit down and pray to Bahamut and see if he answers. He does. He passes the check to get a direct line to a god because clerics can do that every so often. Bahamut's like, oh, hell yeah. Orpheus is throwing a party? Man, he hasn't thrown a party since... Fuck yeah, I'm gonna be there. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I forget exactly what they did to get a hold of Corellin, but they get a hold of him. They continue searching the place, and they eventually find a false back to Orpheus's closet. They open the closet, and there's a room just covered in dust. So they cast levitate, and they float in because they don't want him to know that they were in here, because they have to steal whatever it is they're going to steal without him knowing it. Mm-hmm. And they find this painting on the wall. It's the only thing in the room. And let me find my description of it. Gathered together are 6 smiling adventurers. A silver dragonborn paladin with a dragon's head device upon his shield. A large tiefling warrior with a twisted black and red sword. A wiry Eladrin ranger with a glowing green bow. A stout dwarven barbarian in ragged clothing wielding a flaming hammer. a fair-haired human priest with a shining spear and the device of the sun upon his robes, and Orpheus in a suit of green armor with his wooden lyre. And the necromancer player just goes, because he realizes what I just described.
Mm-hmm.
He keeps to himself for a moment, and then everybody, like, he's like, guys, the guest list, and they go back and he's like, they realize that they correlate the people in that picture to all the major deities who have been invited.
Mm-hmm.
Because so the Silver Dragonborn Paladin, that's Bahamut. The wiry Eladrin, that's Corellin. Asmodeus is Moradin, and Pelor, God of the Sun. And then they suddenly realized what Orpheus meant when he said that all his friends moved on without him.
Yep.
So at this point, it's like 10:30 at night, and we all had work the next day. This was back when we played D&D on Tuesdays instead of Fridays, for various reasons. And I'm like, all right, guys, it's 10:30. We got to wrap this up. I'm tired. You're tired. And they're like, no, we're not ending the night until the party is done. I'm like, oh, okay. I'll go put another pot of coffee on. This is also before I had a kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they cast gentle repose on the painting so that way it can't get damaged, and they roll it up, put it in a tube, and they pass it off to Rex, the bard, whenever they get a chance. And they dress him up in Orpheus's old armor, and he goes to the party, and Orpheus is actually, he's very amused at that, and he thinks that's charming and cute, and well, at this point he thinks anything that Rex does is charming and cute.
Mm-hmm.
And so the guests are all assembled, and they're giving Orpheus their presents, like the big muscular tiefling warrior. He presents Orpheus with a sick ass green pick. Nobody? Ace got me there. And they all realize that Corellin and Bahamut haven't showed up. And then suddenly there's a whoosh of cold wind as the north wind has blown in through the doors, and this huge, imposing, shining gold half dragon he's here, and he announces his presence, and he is happy to see his old friend, and he gives him a giant bear hug. Orpheus is happy, but his best friend hasn't arrived yet. And then everybody's like, Corellin, he's not coming, maybe. But then, there's a bright white flash of light, and Corellin, the North Star, has descended from the heavens to come to his best friend's party. He hasn't seen him in years, and he's even putting aside his current conflict with, the asshole aside. So everybody's happy. Orpheus is happy, and he's like, all right, Bard, show me what you have stolen. And so then one of my players leans over and he whispers to the bard player. He's like, say this. It's like, okay. So he hands him the scroll and he opens it up, and he's very happy to see this poster because, for the first time since this painting was made, everyone's together. And a single tear rolls down Orpheus's face, and I'm actually getting a little emotional and tearing up. And then the tiefling bard, or the bard player, he says, my prince, I cannot truthfully say that I devised this plan to steal this painting and arrange for the North Wind and the North Star to be here at the same time. For as you know, my time was spent with you these last few days. My friends, my fellow adventurers were the ones who made all this possible. And I'm like, oh my God, that's great. And Orpheus, I'm like, yes, truly, one cannot stand alone in this world. That is certain. And then the one of the other players, he drops this sudden bomb that just makes me start crying. My lord, parties may break up, but your memories are eternal.
Aww.
And it was like midnight, and I was on my fourth or fifth cup of coffee. I was just crying.
Oh man, that's endearing.
And Orpheus, and I'm like, I have to take a minute to compose myself. And he says to the bard, he says, you stole something that I thought was under lock and key, something that I thought I had securely guarded for centuries.
It was his heart.
Thou hast stolen mine heart.
Well, Well done.
Yeah, there you go.
And that was when I peaked as a DM.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's a good story. I knew that one too. You've told that one before to me.
Yeah.
And that's
a
good one.
great story.
Yeah, Orpheus is now he's a major god because Corell and the Rethian lost the war and he was actually killed in the war. Orpheus is now the chief god of the elves, and his primary muse is that bard character who became like a god of peace or something. A god of negotiation, that's it.
Gotcha. So, there's our D&D stories, mostly by Pan, our other ones, and some magic stories from Ace. I remembered during that last story, we did not do our Monster of the Week. So...
Rathalos,
I was
10 out
going
of
to
10.
say.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I was
going to
jump in towards the end.
We don't have the time to do that
Sorry,
tonight.
guys.
Maybe we'll do
but
it next week.
We didn't announce it last week, so...
Well, that was a good time as happenings. I mean,
Next week, we are going to be covering our first 24 hours-ish of Monster Hunter Rise.
I specifically took off on Friday. So
I have to have a root canal.
we will be... my brother and I are not working that day. Not that we aren't taking off, but we're the only people in the company present during that time. And we are going to be going to Lancaster to get his special edition Switch because he has the Rise one. Yeah.
Damn, that's lucky.
So we're going to be doing it. We're going to be talking about Monster Hunter Rise next week, and we will open, because if I have to remember this time, we did have a kind of a weird start today, so that's part of it. But we will open with our rating of Rathalos. Will we see Rathalos so far in 24 hours? I hope. Maybe we can actually have Rathalos in that discussion.
Maybe.
I hope. Because, I mean, we know he's in the game. Can I get there in 24 hours?
Quick question.
Oh, probably.
Real quick. Ace, have you seen the leaks of how many monsters there are?
I have been avoiding those.
Okay then. Because we never got Ace, since Ace wasn't on the podcast. How many monsters are there?
Oh, there's a lot. There's quite a
Don't
lot.
say- Monsters are there?
Shut up.
I'm not going to say.
Okay, so a while ago, we all did a thing where, like, how many monsters do you think are going to be in the game? So how many? Just throw out a number and we'll add it to the pinned thing.
I think they have like 30-something confirmed so far. I'm hoping that'll get up to like 44, 45.
44 or 45? What's your hard number?
I like 5, so we'll go with 45.
The answer is 42, man. You gotta go for that, that middle section
If I
there,
remember correctly, I said 40.
And 42 is the answer to everything anyways.
Yeah, I just looked at the pin. You had 40. I think I had the most at 48.
Oh, I had that flipped. I thought I had guessed 48, but I was being pessimistic.
Nope.
I remember now.
And
Has anybody ever seen Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy?
Yes.
I have, and I've read it.
Okay,
but
thank God.
It's bedtime, and I'm gonna go. So everybody say your Twitter handles or whatever.
Yeah, we do have to go. So yeah, catch us next week. You can find all the updates and stuff at Hunters Hub Pod. Also, if you're listening later on SoundCloud, you can watch us on Twitch now, which is what we're streaming right now, which is Hunters Hub Pod on Twitch.tv. And then also, we're on YouTube under Hunters Hub there. It's just called Hunters Hub.
Mm-hmm.
There's 2 Hunters Hub channels. One of them is dead. The other one is alive. I own both of them. The one that is alive is our current symbol with the...
Did you forget a password?
No. We changed emails associated with the podcast. And
Oh, okay. Okay.
I have access to both.
Okay. Join us on Discord. I have a lot of supplementary stuff posted on our Discord for this podcast.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and on Discord, where we have lots of hunts, and where we actually completed Magnamalo. Yay! So, again, Twitter, at Hunters Hub Pod. We're going to hurry this along. You can find Morgan at MorganHay3 on Twitter. Be sure to catch up with all his crazy retweets and opinions and bad takes and good takes and.
Oh yeah, I got a lot of bad takes, but also a good number of good takes.
And then at Ace Badger Gaming for Ace there. Ace is very good at jumping in on discussions on Monster Hunter, especially, and that kind of stuff.
Hell yeah.
A lot of Monster Hunter stuff coming up. Like I said in our tweet, we're probably going to be talking about this game for a long time. So that's why we wanted to do this D&D episode, to sort of like have something else before the deluge.
I've been wanting to get this one out for a while.
Yes. Yeah, and it's also a fun idea, I think. So yeah, thank you guys for listening, and we'll catch you next week where we will be talking about Rathalos and Monster Hunter Rise. See you then.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Goodbye. Be sure to get those spite carbs.